790, your home for Major League Baseball.
The gateway to the West here in St. Louis, Missouri. The arch adjacent to Busch Stadium, the longtime home of the St. Louis Cardinals. And we've got some daytime baseball for you. A chance to get up close and personal with some Major League ball players. Maybe even miss a day of school. Come on out to the ballpark. St. Louis and Philadelphia coming up. Glad you're along with us here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis this afternoon. The ESPN day game between the Phillies and the Cardinals, as the Phillies, who were struggling until they got here, try to complete a 3-game sweep of the Cardinals here in St. Louis. Hi, everybody. Dan Schulman and David Justice with you. And like this guy, we've got some pretty talented hitters in the ballpark here today. Let's start with Jim Thome. Now, David, a lot of people have trouble getting Jim Thome out, but the Cardinals have more trouble than anybody else.
Well, I agree with you. There are a lot of teams in this boat that have troubles getting Jim Thome out. He's a tremendously patient hitter. Now, once you go through a starting rotation a couple times, there's nothing that they can throw you that's going to surprise you. You've seen the fastballs, you've seen the curveballs, and you've seen their changeups. But one thing that makes Jim Thome so well is he does a great job of game planning. And when you're facing a team that you hit well, you got a pretty good idea how they're going to pitch you, and you can game plan a lot easier against them.
The Cardinals have to figure out how to get Thome out. They also have to figure out how to win here at home. They're 7-2 on the road, but they're just 3-9 here at home, and that ERA at home is the worst of any team in the National League. And this traditionally, they've had a great home field advantage right here. One thing that could help today is if Albert Pujols could get hot against the Phillies. But unlike Thome, who really wears out the Cardinals, the Phillies seem to have a pretty good idea of how to get out Pujols.
And as I said earlier, if you want to get Pujols out, you need to watch as many tapes as you can of how the Phillies have pitched against him. This is a guy that I feel you'll never stop Albert Pujols. You just hope that you can slow him down. And I think the Phillies may have found a way of slowing him down, but this is definitely a guy you never stop him.
Kevin Millwood will try to slow him down here today. Chris Carpenter will be on the mound for the Cardinals as the Cardinals try to avoid the sweep. In addition to the ball game today, we've got a lot more coming your way. We'll hear from Scott Rowland, the all-star third baseman of the Cardinals, momentarily. Billy Wagner on the inside pitch about pitching from the stretch, and Hall of Famer and Cardinal legend Red Schoendienst later on today here in the booth.
ESPN's Day Game, brought to you by the DVD Handycam Camcorder from Sony and Bear Aspirin. Bear, take it for pain, take it for life.
Back with you here in St. Louis, where some of the kids missing a day of school, buying some souvenirs and getting ready to watch Kevin Millwood start on the mound for the Philadelphia Phillies against their beloved hometown St. Louis Cardinals, who so far this young season have been led by third baseman Scott Rowland, who has some of the best offensive numbers in all of baseball. A major league leading 27 RBIs already for Rowland, as you can see, far surpassing his typical April, so maybe he's on his way to his best season yet of what's already been a very good major league career. Earlier today, Scott Rowland sat down for a conversation with the third member of our broadcast team, Kyle Peterson.
With Cardinals third baseman Scott Rowland, Scott, you've had such a fast start this year. Are you doing anything different this year? I mean, what's the secret so far?
Well, I haven't come up with a secret, but I'm not going to analyze and try to find the secret either. I'm just going to, I said before, I'm just going to keep going out there and close my eyes and swing as hard as I can and see what happens. I've been in pretty good position at the plate, physically as far as my stance, and I've been able to be consistent and be able to put, good swings on balls, almost every day. It doesn't mean you're going to get a hit, doesn't mean you're going to hit balls hard, but if you're consistent, you're in good position, you have a lot better chance of squaring the ball and hitting it hard.
You guys have kind of been a tale of two teams a little bit this season, 7-2 on the road, but now 3-9 at home. Is there anything that, as a team, you feel like you're doing differently at home, or is it just one of those things that is happening?
Yeah, it hasn't, I guess it's been brought to our attention a little bit, but we don't talk about it in the clubhouse. I mean, there's no better place to play than right here, at Busch Stadium with the fans here in St. Louis. You know how great they are. They come out and they support us, and, they want to win as bad as we want to win. So, we feel maybe we feel bad for the fans and for people here, but, we feel we have to get it done. There's no doubt we go on the road. We've won some games. That's what's kept us in it right now. But, this is a great place to play. It's a great ballpark to play and to win in. So we don't have any answers. And, we're just going to keep coming out and plugging as hard as we can, and try to pile up some wins.
Obviously, you have some history with the Phillies, haven't been there, but your numbers here at Busch Stadium are unbelievable against the Phillies. Do you get any more up for a game against the Phillies against anybody else, and how do you explain your success against them?
Well, personally, I believe that you play at your own intensity level, whatever that might be, and emotionally, especially when you go back to Philadelphia, it's hard, with the thundering boos. It's hard not to your emotional level and your intensity to rise a little bit. And what I find myself doing is trying to bring myself down to play where I can just focus on the ball and focus on the game and not what's going on around me. And it's easier for me to do that here. I mean, obviously, I have a lot of friends over on the other side, and they're on me all game over in the dugout and playing with me over there. But it's there's a lot of great people over there, a lot of my friends over there, and you get a little emotional about things playing against the guys you played with for so long. But you try to come down a little bit and put yourself in a nice groove where you can just make the adjustments, see the ball, play the game. And it's easier for me to be able to do that here than it is in Philadelphia, obviously.
Now, Larry Bow, the manager of the Phillies when Rolen was there, and still now. And, of course, the Phillies fans get a little bit emotional, David, about Scott Rolen for a different reason, upset that he decided that he didn't want to play there long term. And the Cardinals' annual visit to Philadelphia will be next week. And Scott Rolen says, you know what, that's good. Let's get it out of the way, and then I don't have to worry about it the rest of the season.
And the beauty of it is they only go there one time.
Yep.
So he has to put up with the Philly Fanatics for just 3 games, and then he's done with them for the rest of the year.
The Phillies have won 4 out of 5, and they're starting to swing the bats a little bit better, especially in the middle of the lineup. Abreu has really heated up to get to 261. Thome and Burrell really carrying the offense. The trouble spot offensively for the Phillies is at the top of the lineup, just not finding anybody who's getting on base consistently. Marlon Byrd is the leadoff hitter today for Philadelphia. Big 29-year-old right-hander Chris Carpenter is on the mound for St. Louis. He missed part of 2002 and all of 2003 with the exception of some minor league rehab starts after not 1 but 2 operations on his right shoulder. And he is hoping to bounce back to the form that he once showed as a young pitcher with the Toronto Blue Jays, a regular double-digit winner. And the Cardinals really need him to solidify the back end of that rotation. Here's center fielder Marlon Byrd hitting just .224. And we are underway here in St. Louis as Carpenter is in there with a strike. Look at that on-base percentage at .307. Jimmy Rollins, who's on deck, his on-base percentage is .250. Now a rope to left field. Going back and reaching up to make the catch is So Taguchi. And Byrd is retired for the first out of the afternoon. Well, one thing that Chris Carpenter or whoever's on the mound for the Cardinals knows, they're going to have some of the best defense in baseball behind them.
Oh, absolutely. You're talking about Gold Glovers. You're talking about Matheny. You're talking about Renteria, Rolen, Edmonds. It's so important for this pitching staff to throw strikes and use this Gold Glove defense behind them. Stay away from walks. Get the pitching and get the ground balls and let your defense work for you.
Now Jimmy Rollins. You saw Taguchi in left and Porter in right. A day off today after the night game for Ray Langford and Reggie Sanders. Neither one of them with good career numbers against Kevin Millwood, and also, I guess, at that age where you can use a day off every now and again, so why not get it today? On the 2-0 pitch, a rope to right field, but Porter is there, so both Byrd and Rollins have hit the ball hard, but they've hit it right at a St. Louis outfielder.
And I was talking to both those young players before the game, and they said exactly that. The at-bats are getting better. We just can't find any holes. That was a pretty good swing by Byrd, the first at-bat. Rollins, that was a line drive just right at him. So you just got to keep plugging, but they both are starting to feel comfortable with their swings. 2
outs and nobody on for the Phillies here in the top of the first. Carpenter will face right fielder Bobby Abreu. And Abreu was one of those struggling Philly hitters until about a week ago, and he's been on an absolute tear over his last 7 games, raising his average better than 150 points. And boy, do they need him to get on base consistently in front of Thome and Burrell.
And I'm not surprised. Like I said last week when we had the game, this is a guy you knew he's not going to hit 170 all year. He's a tremendous player. He's a 300 average type guy. He's going to hit you 20 to 35 home runs. He's going to drive it 100. He's going to steal bases. He does it all. He's a complete player all the way around. So you knew he was going to come out of it.
There's the tears you can see that he's been on over the last week or so, coinciding with a bit of a resurgence by the Phillies offense as a whole. When we saw them last week, they lost a couple of heartbreakers to the Marlins. They were high-scoring games. They just got outscored in both those games. But since then, they have taken 2 out of 3 at Montreal, and now they've won the first 2 games here in St. Louis. The Phillies are a game below 500 at 9-10. The Cardinals are a game below 500 at 10-11. Curveball down and in, full count.
And you look at the potential of this Phillies offense, and they've scored an average of 5.6 runs over the last 5 games, and that's without the leadoff guys getting on. Once you can get Marlon Byrd and Rollins, or if it's Placido Polanco at the top of that order, getting on base, they'll average more runs than that.
The ball was held eventually by Mike Matheny, so it's a strikeout, and Abreu is gone. We'll see Pujols and the Cardinals when we come back for the bottom of the first. Tony La Russa looking for his 700th win as manager of the St. Louis Cardinals here today. Let's look at the lineup that La Russa is putting on the field today, and a lot of gaudy averages. The St. Louis Cardinals, although they haven't hit as well the last few days, they lead the major leagues in home runs right now. They've had some extraordinary production early on in the season. Still, they're below 500 as a team. On the mound is a pretty tough competitor in right-hander Kevin Millwood, a guy I would gather you tangled with once or twice in your career.
Well, just in exhibition games, but I mean, he's throwing the kitchen sink at you. Fastball, 4-seamer, 2-seamer, slider.
First pitch swinging, former Philly Marlon Anderson bangs one down into the right field corner. And he is on his way into second base with a leadoff double.
See, one thing these hitters understand about Millwood is this is a guy who doesn't walk a lot of players. And coming over from Atlanta, where they preach so much first pitch strikes, you know you're going to get a good pitch to hit in that first pitch or that second pitch. And he didn't wait around. Anderson didn't wait around.
Now look at the defense behind Kevin Millwood here today.
And I love Jimmy Rollins at shortstop. He's got tremendous range, great arm. Coming into this season, the best fielding percentage among National League shortstops since the beginning of 2001.
His counterpart, one of the great all-round shortstops in the game of baseball, Edgar Renteria, stepping in now for the Cardinals. Renteria shows bunt, and he takes ball 1. This is the first time this year Renteria has hit in the 2 spot for St. Louis. Good numbers, but he is not hitting in the clutch as well as he normally does. Normally in his career, he's one of the great clutch hitters in baseball. But he came up with his first hit of the season with a runner in scoring position just last night.
And, you know, every year, I remember talking to Cal Ripken one time when I was a young player. And I asked him, you know, just talking about how can I have some longevity in this game? And I remember him telling me every year is different. Every year is different. This year, right, he's starting out a little slow. But he's got to remember the type of player that he is. He is a guy who can drive in runs. You're just starting off slow. You got a lot of baseball left to be played. And he'll be fine. I have total confidence that he'll start swinging the bat well from in his scoring position.
Still right in his prime. He drove in 100 runs last year. Won a Gold Glove, hit .330. I mean, he had one of the best all-round seasons a shortstop could have as he takes that big breaking ball inside. And it's 2-1. And he also owns Kevin Millwood, 12 for 24 lifetime against him in his career.
But he's in a position now where he has to get this runner over to third. Play small ball, do the fundamentally right thing here is hit a ball to the right side, which he is tremendous at doing. That's why he's a pretty good second hole hitter, because he can do a lot of things with the bat.
Infield and outfield, all shading Renteria to hit the ball the other way. As David mentioned, that is the strength for Edgar Renteria. And you tend to hear so much about some of the other great, especially American League shortstops, but look at how Renteria's numbers stack up. Not bad when you look at this group.
Well, he's very solid. He was voted in as an all-star in the National League, so a lot of fans do recognize him as a premier shortstop in the game.
Leadoff man at second for the Cardinals here in the bottom of the first. And an awkward-looking swing there by Renteria, not happy with himself at all as he strikes out and fails to advance the runner.
If you look at this, Millwood's going to try to give him something to pull. He goes with a fastball that's actually tailing in on him. That's a tremendous pitch by Millwood, especially to a guy who can handle the bat as well as Renteria does.
You can hear all the kids who are in the house here today as Renteria disappears down the step. A squeal of an ovation for Albert Pujols, maybe the most popular Cardinal, as he steps in. the defending batting champion of the National League, runner-up for the MVP for the 2nd year in a row to Barry Bonds. And as dangerous a hitter as there is in the game, with the possible exception of Barry Bonds. And all this, and he's just in his 4th year in the big leagues. At .295 right now, 7 home runs, 17 RBIs. Just 24 years of age, and he's already doing things that just make you wonder how high the ceiling could possibly be. In the air down the right field line in foul territory. Tomey over for a look, but it's 6-7 rows back into the seats. Sam Holbrook is calling the balls and strikes here this afternoon. Paul Noward at first, Randy Marsh at second, and Larry Vanover at third. The Cardinals weren't so pleased with Vanover's work last night. A very close play at the plate that went against them. And also the strike zone in general. Some of the Cardinals were saying that they didn't think they were getting the calls they thought they should get.
Let me ask you something. When you're the youngest of 11 children, do you ever get anything new, brand new?
I would think you would just want to get to the dinner table quickly enough to get some food.
I mean, that's 10 kids of hand-me-downs.
I know.
Or at least probably 5.
I can't imagine. Breaking ball in the dirt.
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot.
I mean, I'm an only child. I mean, that was
so
a wonderful thing, but to be the youngest of 11 kids, I mean, I don't even think you have a voice in the house, do you?
No wonder you grow up big and strong like him. You probably have to defend yourself from a very early age. I don't know how many of the older siblings were brothers, but I'm sure that you either got to, if you're the youngest of 11, you've either got to be very fast or very strong.
Or athletically inclined, like Albert is. But he came over here at age 16, didn't know a lick of English. I talked to him before the game, and he just learned on, he's a very smart kid, learned English once he got over here. What a tremendous guy. I said it last year. When St. Louis signed him to a long-term deal, I thought it was a tremendous move. Not because he's a great player, but when you have young kids in the minor leagues and St. Louis minor leagues, and they're looking for a major leaguer to emulate, there's no one better than him. He's a great guy in the clubhouse. Hard workers, always sweating and always trying to become a great player. That's the face of your ball club. That's what you want the young kids in the minor leagues trying to be like.
High fly ball to left. Burrell racing back, and he's got room on the track to make the catch for the 2nd out. Just didn't quite get enough to send it out of here.
You see the swing, just didn't get enough of it. Just got a little bit up toward the label there, and just wasn't able to get enough of it. But every time he comes to the plate, there's always that feeling like great things are going to happen. Nobody, not too many people are at the hot dog stand when he comes to the plate.
You can see the expression on Millwood's face. He wasn't quite sure if the ballpark was going to hold that one. This has always been considered a pretty fair park. Not one of the parks where you're putting up 10, 12 runs a night, although the Cardinals have scored a ton so far this season, but it's not a bad place to come in and pitch. Here's Jim Edmonds. Bit of a sore groin, knocked him out a little bit early in Sunday's game. After a pretty good start, you saw the numbers: 4 home runs, 10 doubles already for Edmonds. And he looks over the first pitch, in for a strike.
When you look at this lineup with Pujols, Edmonds, and Rowland, none of these guys should feel any pressure of having to be the guy every night to drive in runs. Just be patient and wait for your pitch. And if a team wants to walk you, let them walk you, because if you don't have a good night, you got guys around you that can pick you up. There's nothing better than being in a lineup like that.
You look at a guy who's not even in the lineup today, but Reggie Sanders has rediscovered, well, he never lost the fountain of youth. I mean, he's been putting up some big numbers, just bouncing around from team to team, but he's a Cardinal now. Not in the lineup today, but he's off to a terrific start with the bat as well.
You're right, because when you're in a lineup where you are the guy and there's no one around you, there is a tendency to chase balls out of the strike zone because you feel the pressure that if you don't drive in the runs, then you're not going to score and you're not going to win. That's a lot of pressure to carry.
2-1 now, the count on Edmonds. Marlon Anderson led off the inning with a double, but then Renteria struck out and Pujols flied out, so Millwood trying to make sure the Cardinals can't push across an early run. At home, where St. Louis has really struggled, just 3-9, their biggest problem has been falling behind early. They rarely have taken an early lead here at their home ballpark. Now Todd Pratt will go to the mound. Pratt, a little bit of excitement. We were there last week up in Philadelphia when he and Alex Gonzalez really tried to exchange blows. I don't think anybody landed any punches, but they both, baseball announced yesterday, have been suspended for 3 games. Pratt immediately appealed the suspension, and we'll take that up with the Major League office when the Phillies get to New York. Rowland waiting on deck as Millwood tries to get out of it here against Edmonds. Misses outside. 3 balls and a strike, and yes, there's a base open, but the guy on deck is hitting the ball about as well as anybody in baseball right now.
And see, when you're Edmonds in this situation, 3-1, it has to be your pitch. If it's not your pitch, one pitch you're looking for, then go ahead and make it. If he throws you a break him off for a strike, let him have it. But look for the fastball that you can hammer right here.
Now Millwood and Pratt, I guess, just having trouble getting together on the signs. Mike Lieberthal is generally the #1 catcher, obviously, for the Phillies, but Pratt's been around a long time, and they certainly became familiar with Millwood last season, but they just seem a little bit in disagreement here in the early going. Edmonds might have expanded that strike zone a little bit right there.
See, when you're 3-1, you got a base open. There's a good chance that they may throw you a pitch. It's not a great pitch because, you know, although Rowland is having a solid season, you know, he is right-handed. And you have to give the respect to Edmonds that this is a guy that if you make the wrong pitch 3-1, we can put some runs up on the board quickly. But yeah, Edmonds in that situation has to look for a better pitch than that breaking ball.
A wide stance for the left-handed batter who hit 39 home runs a year ago despite battling some injuries last season as well. The 3-2. Strike 3 called on the inside corner, and now Edmonds has some words for Sam Holbrook as he makes the walk back to the first base dugout. Jim Thome will lead off the second for the Phils. Back here in St. Louis, the ESPN day game. Dan Schulman, David Justice, and Kyle Peterson with you. No score, top of the second. Jim Thome steps in. First pitch swinging against Chris Carpenter, and lifts a mile-high fly ball to shallow right center field, and Jim Edmonds all the way over to make the catch. And the Cardinals don't know what that feels like to get out Jim Thome on a consistent basis. He has some monster numbers against them. 13 home runs in just 64 at-bats. Had 3 RBIs and 3 hits last night, but Carpenter retires him on 1 pitch.
And he got away with one. It was a fastball that was actually up in the strike zone. And in order for Carpenter to be successful, he can't pitch in the middle of the plate. He has to keep the ball down. He's been working on a sinker because most guys, when they throw the sinker, they know that in order for it to get good sinkage, it must be down. Now, he can keep that four-seamer in his repertoire, but you got to mix in that sinker and keep the ball down, especially with that four-seamer, because he's a tall guy. When you're that tall, pitchers have a tendency to see you very well, especially when you come over top. So you'll see guys swing at more fastballs that are up in the strike zone against tall pitchers because you see it so well.
Inside to Pat Burrell, 2 balls and a strike. Well, Carpenter came up as a first-round pick in the Toronto Blue Jay organization, and actually Mike Matheny, his catcher here in St. Louis, look out. We'll have to finish that later as Carpenter drills Pat Burrell, and that's the first base runner of the afternoon for the Phillies.
See, one thing about throwing a sinker is because that pitch has such good movement, sometimes it's hard to control it. You saw the previous pitch where he was able to locate it inside. That time it got away from him.
So Burrell at first with 1 out here in the second inning, and now the batter is the third baseman, David Bell, hitting .242. That sinker or two-seamer is something that Mike Matheny, his catcher, is trying to get Carpenter to use more because it makes him concentrate on keeping the ball down. But as you said, that one got away from him and ran right in on Burrell, hit him right in the hip.
Right, because most two-seamers, they have a lot of movement. So sometimes it's tough to control that amount of movement. But it's a great pitch that if he can hone that pitch, it's a great pitch to add. You keep the four-seamer when you need it. But to have that two-seamer, that movement down in the strike zone, it's going to give you more ground balls. You can use his gold glove defense behind you. Just be a better pitch for him.
Swing and a foul tip held by Matheny. Bell strikes out for the second out of the inning as we go down to field level to join Kyle Peterson. Kyle?
Thanks, Danny. I talked to pitching coach Dave Duncan before the game about that sinker that you guys have been talking about with Chris Carpenter. And the thing they've been working on in between starts has been shortening his stride and making sure he stays a little bit taller on that back leg. Now, what that allows him to do is fall more towards home plate as opposed to pushing towards home plate. The shorter that front leg goes, the easier it is for him to get out over it, easier it is to get extension. There's where the sinker comes from. So it's something they've been working on. It's something that he really thinks is important for him to have success today against the Phillies. Guys?
All right, Kyle, thank you. Here's Tomas Perez with 2 down in the inning. Breaking ball misses outside. Carpenter is now 29, but after missing basically a year and a half after 2 shoulder operations, probably it's almost like starting over, David.
I mean, no doubt about it. But when you look at his pitches, look at the breaking ball. He's got a great bend, 12-6 breaking ball. He's got the 4-seam fastball. As you look at him right here, as we said, he was hurt last year. He's trying to get back to where his confidence level is to a point in which he can just go out there and just let it go. But when you haven't pitched for the amount of time that he hasn't pitched, it takes time to get all the way back.
A swing and a fly ball, pretty well hit to right field. Porter is going back to the ballpark. Will hold this one as Tomas Perez flies out, and that will end the inning. We're scoreless through an inning and a half here in St. Louis. Back to the bottom of the second, a day game tradition here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. While you're watching the game, you can head out to center field, get yourself a haircut, which in your case, in my case, we could probably do during a commercial break. We don't need a whole lot of time out there.
Yeah, but see, you still fighting it. I'm not fighting no more. You know, I got the clean, crisp look all the way around. You still.
This is not much of a fight.
You're still fighting.
I'm losing the fight.
Don't let it go, man. You know that.
Ball is beautiful.
Get
right?
rid of that.
There's not much here.
That. What's that in living color? What was it called? Homie D Clown. Get rid of that Homie D Clown look.
Here's Scott Rowland leading off the bottom of the second. You even noticed I got a haircut between last week and this week when you saw me.
You're a good-looking man,
huh?
boy. I was proud. I'm glad you got that haircut.
I'm giving in. You're winning me over to your way of seeing things. Here's Rowland. Look at the start for him, leading the majors in RBIs. 27 RBIs in 21 games here to start the season and hitting .354. Not to mention the fact the guy has won 5 Gold Gloves. This maybe is time we start mentioning Scott Rowland among the elite players in baseball, both offensively and defensively. And a swing and a ground ball, base hit into center field for Rowland. So for the second inning in a row, the Cardinals have the leadoff man on, but they couldn't do anything with that Anderson double back in the first.
Well, we saw an interview before the game. He was trying to play the dumb role. Oh, I just close my eyes and swing. But Scott Rowland has an idea when he hits. And one of the reasons why he has started so well is because of his balance. Tremendous balance at the plate. And all the good hitters, Scott Rowland, Jim Thome, Barry Bonds. You see these guys, they will work the count. They always seem to be putting themselves in a position to get a good pitch over the middle of the plate. And when they get it, they don't miss it. And that's the reason why he has started so quickly this year.
Colin Porter is the batter, but outfielder. He's in right field today. Came up in the Houston organization. Claimed on waivers by the Cardinals in January. Spelling Reggie Sanders today out in right field.
Reggie came in with that Millwood-itis. It sometimes creeps in on guys.
That 1 for 17 disease?
Oh, you know, if I was his teammate, I'd be all over him. I've had my itises in my career. I've had my guys.
I'm sure Reggie looked ahead a couple of days ago and said, man, 1 for 17 and day game after a night game. I know I'm not going to be playing on Thursday. But he might well be a factor before the day's done. Sliced softly down the left field line. It drops in foul. Reggie Sanders is one of the good guys in baseball. Always got a smile on his face, always willing to talk. And there's the itis that David was talking about. But I think what Reggie's happiest about, he has been with 7 teams in the last 7 years, but he signed a 2-year deal with the Cardinals, and unless they decide to trade him, he's finally going to have a chance to live in the same apartment for more than 1 year in a row.
I tell you, a tremendous shape he's in too. Still looks like still got the body of a 22-year-old. Still running, still good speed. Has the bat speed still. Tremendous addition to this ball club, and he's off to a fast start as well.
In there for a strike, and it's 1-2. Sanders has always been a National League guy, but after spending a number of years with the Reds after his last year with Cincinnati, he's had a new mailing address each and every season. And it's not because he's not putting up the numbers. He is putting up the numbers, but he's always that guy that a team gets just to fill a hole, put us over the top. You know, we can afford him, whatever the case may be, depending on the team. He had 31 homers last year for Pittsburgh.
But you would have thought that someone would have given him a long-term deal, because not only does he produce for you on the field, but he's a great guy in the clubhouse as well. He's not a guy who's a malcontent, a guy who's a cancer to a ball club. He's a tremendous guy, so it is kind of fascinating to see the amount of teams that he has been with.
Pulled foul down the right side by Porter. Rolling at first, nobody out, and a 2-2 count on Porter. As you look at Walt Jocketty, the senior VP and general manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. He's been a pretty busy guy over the years, both in the winter and during the season, making some big pickups like a Scott Rowland, like a Woody Williams, and this offseason a Reggie Sanders. But like a lot of teams, the Cardinals watching their bottom line a little bit more closely now than they were just a couple of years ago. But that Scott Rowland deal is one of the key moments, I think, obviously, in Walt Jocketty's tenure, to be able to get a guy who wanted out of Philadelphia. He's from southern Indiana, not that far from here. Wanted to get back to the Midwest, or one of the things that appealed to him about St. Louis was being pretty close to home. And although the Cardinals gave up some pretty good players, this deal has, I think you would say, favored the Cardinals in a fairly one-sided way as Porter finally goes down on strikes. Third strikeout of the day for Kevin Millwood.
And to add to that, he was able to come into an environment in which he could flourish. This is a tremendous city to play in. These fans, bar none, are some of the best fans. I mean, when you're on the opposing side, you love coming to St. Louis because they don't rag you. They don't get on you. You almost feel like it's a home game between the St. Louis A team and the St. Louis B team. I mean, these are great fans here. They love their team, very supportive, and an environment in which Rowland can flourish.
Runner at first, one out, and the batter is the catcher, Mike Matheny. And a weak chopper up toward third, charged by David Bell. Only play to first. They'll get Matheny. In the second, it goes Rowland now with 2 down. Don't forget, Sunday night, join John Miller and Joe Morgan from the ballpark at Arlington. It'll be Manny Ramirez of the Boston Red Sox, one of the hottest teams in baseball. They've won 4 in a row, 13-6 overall, taking on the Texas Rangers, who are playing some pretty good baseball themselves at 12-9. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with baseball tonight. The first pitch will be just after 8. How about Manny Ramirez, who may have been a Ranger at one point, had the A-Rod to Boston thing got through, but instead he stays with Boston. And look at the numbers that Manny is putting up right now.
I played with him, I told you, 3.5 years. I'm never surprised with what Manny does offensively. He's just a tremendous hitter.
He's had a couple of big hits against the New York Yankees already so far this season. The Red Sox winning 6 out of 7 from the Yankees here in the early going. So Taguchi is the batter, getting a start in left field, hitting .222 in limited at bats for the Cardinals this year. Cardinals with a leadoff man on for the second inning in a row, but in danger of stranding a runner in scoring position for the second inning in a row. You can see Taguchi's experience in Japan. Won 5 Gold Gloves in Japan as well. Known much more for his defense than his offense. Had a lot of day games in the majors here today. Houston and Pittsburgh are underway. Anaheim's at Detroit. Tampa Bay at Boston. Got a lot of Thursday afternoon action for you. There's a strike, 1-1. How big of a fan were you of the day game after the night game?
Oh, I hated it with passion. Especially as I got older.
I was asking just to see if you were going to be honest with all of us, but you were.
Well, I'm always honest with you, Dan. We've developed that type of relationship where honesty is very important. If we're going to work together, we need honesty.
But I don't want you to deceive the viewers. That's my main concern.
Well, I mean, I'll try my best not to.
2 balls and a strike. Did you ever have a night game that went, 12, 14 innings and then you had to come back? I mean, we broadcast that last week, but did you ever play in that?
Absolutely. And these day games, it just takes time to get going. Usually you don't hit on the field. So guys come in, you're going to eat breakfast, then you go to the cages. It just takes a little bit of time to get going, to wake up on these, especially these noon starts.
3-1 on a pitch away. Well, folks who have played for the Chicago Cubs say that they face a difficulty that other teams don't face because their schedule fluctuates so much between the day games and now the occasional night game. I think they can play up to 22 night games of the 81 home games they have.
I totally agree with that. If you look at a day game, most guys, you have to be dressed at 10 o'clock normally, which means guys are getting to the stadium at 8:30 in the morning, which means you may be waking up at 7 o'clock. All right, for a day game. You talk to most guys, they would much rather be able to sleep in and play at night than have to get up every morning so early to play a game. Especially when you're playing 162 games.
Full count on Taguchi. And he sends a fly ball into right. Abreu is there, and the inning is over. The Cardinals will leave a man on in scoring position against Millwood for the second inning in a row.
ESPN's Day Game, brought to you by Viagra. Ask your doctor if Viagra is right for you. And GoRVing.com. Pursue your passions. For a free video, visit GoRVing.com.
Cardinals Hall of Fame right across the street from Busch Stadium in the same building that houses the Bowling Hall of Fame. Here in St. Louis, some of the Cardinal fans check out some of the great tradition and history of the St. Louis Cardinal franchise that has won 9 world championships. It's a distant second, mind you, but they are second to the New York Yankees in most World Series won. There's Todd Pratt leading off the third for the Phillies. No score here in St. Louis on the ESPN Day Game.
And continue our conversation about the day game after a night game. How about last week? I was joking with Mike Lieberthal because there was the long game the previous night and they had the day game the next day, and Lieberthal told me he showed up and just put his uniform on knowing he wasn't going to catch. Knew Pratt would be in there, and he's sitting over there in his plastic spikes, and all of a sudden here's Pratt and Gonzalez for the Marlins getting into a fight. And automatically he's in the game. And he was like, dude, what are you doing?
That was early, right?
It was early, second inning. You think you got a day off, sit back, work on your tan a little bit and relax. And now your catcher gets thrown out of the game for fighting. And now you have to, and he had not been loose. He didn't do anything that day. He just showed up, put his uniform on, put his plastic spikes on, and was just going to sit and watch the game.
There's ball 4 to Pratt. And the game the night before went 4.5 hours, was a 12-inning game. So that game didn't end till almost midnight. And then Lieberthal was right back at it for 8 of the 9 innings the next day. Pratt will draw the leadoff walk, and that'll bring up Kevin Millwood. And Millwood will be, we would assume, trying to bunt the man along. Now Pujols, the first baseman, trying to get Chris Carpenter's attention before he starts pitching. Pujols making the adjustment to first base on a full-time basis after it was one of a number of positions that he played over the last 3 seasons with St. Louis, along with left and right, and before Roland got here, a lot of third base as well. And by all accounts, those who have seen Pujols, David, on an everyday basis say that he's playing the position pretty well.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's going to work at it. I mean, the work ethic that this kid has is tremendous, but he has played everywhere. I know he's not going to play third, got a Gold Glover there. I think they found a position for him that I think he'll be extremely comfortable, and he'll do well over there at first base.
Had the shoulder trouble last year, so they didn't want him in the outfield if at all possible. As Millwood gets the bunt down back toward Carpenter. And a sacrifice for Millwood, moving Pratt up to second base. Well, if you're a pitcher with Atlanta roots, you better be able to get that done.
That's one thing. If you're a pitcher in Atlanta, you will learn how to bunt. That is something that they go over continuously, and it helps you as a pitcher. You've got a man in scoring position now. You help yourself.
And Larry Boa likes what he sees. Boa has had an interesting start to the season, especially up until a week ago when the Phillies were really struggling. He lost his temper a couple of times with umpires, lost his temper a couple of times with local writers. Back to the top of the order now for Marlon Byrd. And a ground ball to the left side, gobbled up by Roland. 2 down. But so many expectations for the Philadelphia Phillies, and when they got out of the gate so slowly, that seemed to set Boa up to a low boil, and then You know, he just got pushed over the edge every now and again by a rider or maybe a fan. Who knows, maybe one of his own players, an umpire, whatever the case may be. But you can always tell pretty easily what kind of a day Larry Bowa is having.
And you see they're starting to come around. I mean, the pitching is starting to come around. The offense. I mean, this is a team that is expected to win that division. And as you were saying, they started slowly. They started hearing the boos. You feel the pressure. You're not playing well, and there's a boiling point. And with Larry, you know, it doesn't take much for him to get upset.
Here's Jimmy Rollins. Rollins with a fly ball to right field in the first inning. The Phillies are still looking for their first hit today, but they've got a runner at second with 2 down. Check swing, and it's ball 2 to Jimmy Rollins. Now, Billy Wagner, a guy who knows a little something about expectations and pressure. He will be our guest on the inside pitch during the coming out of the next break, as Billy Wagner will give us a lesson about pitching from the stretch. Anything Billy Wagner has to say about pitching, I'm listening with the kind of success that he has.
It's too late, Dan.
You don't think I can crank it up to 101 miles an hour?
Start your career right now. You just let it go.
Yeah, but maybe I got 3 boys. Maybe I can just, you know, get one of my boys throwing 100 miles an hour. 2 balls and a strike.
You just need to enjoy the conversation. Just enjoy what he's saying, but it's over.
How old is your oldest son?
4.
Does he swing left? Does he hit left?
Right-handed.
Right-handed?
Yeah.
With your beautiful left-handed swing, and he's a right-handed hitter?
I tried to tie his arm around his back, but that didn't work. He just broke free.
Has he got a nice swing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I call him Tiger already. He's swinging a golf club.
Yeah.
I took him to the golf range, took him to the range.
Yeah.
And he was making contact. And, of course, every swing that he hits the ball, you know, I treat it like it was the best thing that ever happened.
Sure.
So now, but he's killing the grass at home.
Oh, is it?
Oh, my God, is he killing the grass.
You're not killing the grass at home?
Not at home, but on the golf course. I definitely get my chunks in every time I go play.
Swing and a miss, and a slow breaking ball. Rollins is gone, and the inning is over. Philadelphia can't get the man over and can't get him in. We're scoreless going to the bottom of the 3rd. Billy Wagner on deck for us here in St. Louis. Back in St. Louis, time for the inside pitch. Billy Wagner, one of the best closers in the game. The Phillies closer talks to us about pitching from the stretch.
For me, when I get my sign and I come up, I almost want to lean back on my back leg so that when I come set for my balance, I can sit here for a good amount of time without feeling like I'm wobbling. So I can sit here and stay balanced and poised to go to my target. Well, once I come set and I pick my leg up, I want my shoulder pointing to my target. So once I come up and I start going to my target, my shoulder's pointing to the area of the plate I want to go to. Then I just follow my shoulder to the plate, and that allows me to throw strikes and make the pitches I want to make. Once you're balanced and you start to lift your leg to make your pitch, it's about being soft, not a lot of herky-jerky. It's just about lifting and going to your target and landing soft where you don't have a lot of excess motion and herky-jerkiness.
How can everything be soft and controlled, and how does it fly out of there at 101 miles an hour?
Yeah, when I understand what he's saying. 'Cause in my days of pitching, you know, I had a similar type of thought process.
Carpenter with a chopper down to first, and Tommy makes the play.
But you know, one thing he didn't mention is the leg drive that he actually gets off that back leg. Because once he comes balanced and he starts forward, he drives off that left leg. You look at the legs that he has. I mean, 2 tree trunks, very strong legs. He gets a lot of drive out of his legs, and that's what helps him, you know, throw so hard.
Only about 5'10", 5'11", but generates as much velocity as any pitcher in baseball.
Well, you know, he's a short guy, though, very compact. And like I said, he's balanced. He keeps it all together. But it's that drive. One thing he didn't mention is that once he starts toward home plate, he's pushing off that back leg and getting as much drive as he can get. And that's where that velocity comes. That and the arm speed.
Here's Marlon Anderson. He doubled to lead off the first for the Cardinals. First pitch swinging, lines a base hit into right field. So Anderson's only seen 2 pitches here today, and he's got a double and a single. You ever face Billy Wagner?
Yeah, I faced him one time. It wasn't a comfortable at bat.
I would think.
I actually got a hit, but it was one of them times, you know how you're guessing. I know it's a fastball coming.
Right.
I just hope it's in the strike zone because I'm gonna have the bat. I'm gonna have the bat out front.
You got to
but
start.
If you look at him right here. You take a look right here. He's balanced, but once he goes forward, he'll get a little break, a little bend in his knee, and then he drives toward home plate. And see, that along with the arm speed, which I don't think you can teach arm speed. That's a God's gift that you're born with. But you can teach that leg drive. You can teach mechanics, and you can teach that leg drive. But you can't teach what God gave you, and that's that arm speed that he has.
There's Edgar Renteria. Billy Wagner just relaxing right now in the dugout. He knows if he's needed, it won't be until much, much later in this game. Millwood facing Renteria. Millwood struck Renteria out back in the first inning. A frustrating at bat for Renteria, who had a runner at second, nobody out, couldn't get him over, and really had an awkward swing on the last pitch when he struck out, and now he's in an 0-2 hole. Phillies winning 7-3 on Tuesday night, 6-3 here last night. And again, the Cardinals will be back in Philadelphia next week, and then that's it. That's all the two teams will see of one another here in the regular season. Big series coming up here beginning tomorrow. The Chicago Cubs will be in town for 4 games against their arch rivals, the St. Louis Cardinals. Look at the current standings. Cubs, of course, a popular pick before the season. Houston as well. A lot of folks kind of forgetting a little bit about St. Louis, kind of assigning them 3rd place by default behind the Cubs and Astros. Fly ball into right. And Abreu over near the line. The runner straying from the bag, and he's doubled off. Marlon Anderson went too far, could not get back, and that'll end the inning. A costly base running mistake, especially because Albert Pujols would have come up to hit next. But Marlon Anderson runs the Cardinals out of an inning. Bobby Abreu heard the shouting from the infield that Marlon Anderson had strayed too far off the bag at first and fired one back into the bag to double up Anderson and end the inning. So we are still scoreless here as now Abreu leads off the top of the 4th, runs up to bunt, and he takes up and away ball 1. 5 for 10 lifetime against Carpenter despite striking out of the first inning. Carpenter has not allowed a base hit so far. He's walked a batter and hit a batter. This is his 4th start of the season, 1-1 with an ERA over 5, but his last start was his best start. Now, back a few years ago, David, there was a trio of young pitchers, and they didn't get that much attention because they were north of the border. But at the time, Chris Carpenter, Roy Halladay, and Kelvin Escobar were supposed to be one of the great threesomes of young up-and-coming pitchers in all of baseball. And this was the guy, Carpenter, who was expected to eventually be the staff ace. Carpenter, though, got hurt and eventually signed with St. Louis as a free agent. Escobar was inconsistent, and then, as he pitched better, priced himself out of the Toronto market, and he's now with Anaheim. And then Halladay, who was the youngest of the 3, got sent all the way down to A-ball to rework his mechanics, and last year won the Cy Young Award. There's a fastball that gets right by Abreu, and Carpenter strikes him out for the 2nd time today.
But if you watch Carpenter, it's easy to understand why they thought that he would be the future of that franchise, or one of the guys. I mean, you look at his breaking ball, it's very sharp. Sometimes he hangs them. He's hung a couple, but when he gets on top of that breaking ball, it's got a great bite to it. He threw him a 1-0 changeup. He's mixing his pitches, his fastball. He just has to be careful with that fastball in the middle of the plate because you can see his fastball very well, and these guys can pound the ball in the middle of the plate.
Starts off Jim Thome with a curveball in for a strike. Retired Thome on a fly ball to shallow right center his first time up.
You see, when you can jump ahead of hitters, you're always putting them a little bit on the defense. And then he's mixing his pitches. I mean, he's throwing his breaking ball for strikes. He's mixing in the fastball, the changeup. He's moving it around. He's doing everything that you need to do to be successful. And you have to make sure you make those pitches against the big guys like Abreu, Thome, and Burrell.
Fastball in for a strike, and it's 1-2. Strong left-handed hitter up, so the usual shift. The three infielders on the right side against Thome.
And you see, look at him. He threw the breaking ball in a couple pitches ago. Went with the fastball away. Now he tried to sneak him with a fastball inside. And that's how you pitch. You want to move the ball around and mix in all your pitches. You don't want a hitter to just get locked into one area.
Sharp curveball, but it's low in the dirt, a full count.
And it would seem like, well, obviously no pitcher wants to be locked in one area, but you'll watch it. A certain guy will throw primarily all his fastballs in one area, all his breaking balls in the same area as that fastball. And he's a guy who will have a lot of problems because hitters just lay in that area.
Loses Thome and issues his second walk of the afternoon. Well, do you believe that a pitcher has either got to make a hitter look up and down or in and out to be successful?
I think all of the above. Make him look up and down, in and out. And when you're able to mix all of your pitches in for strikes, then it's hard to game plan against you. But if you're facing a guy who can't throw his breaking ball for a strike, doesn't throw his changeup for a strike, and all he does is throw fastballs away, he's going to get hammered because the hitter's going to the hitter will just look for the fastball away until 2 strikes. Because he'll be confident that he's not going to throw the breaking ball for a strike, so I don't have to worry about it. But when you're throwing all your pitches for strikes, the hitter has to worry about all of them. And when you can throw it in and out, it's just you're giving him too many things to worry about as a hitter. As a hitter, you want to make it as simple as possible. And some pitchers will allow you to make it simple. When they can't get their all-speed pitches over for strikes, it becomes easy to hit because now all you got to do is worry about a fastball.
I think all of these St. Louis pitchers really have the benefit of working with a catcher like Mike Matheny, who's got the reputation of being one of the best handlers of pitchers in all of baseball. And look at how he calls for the curveball right there. Carpenter fools Burrell and strikes him out on 3 pitches.
He buckled Burrell with this curveball. That tells you what type of curveball. If you look at this break, I mean, this is a tight curveball. Look at the break on that. Now you take that pitch that he's throwing it for a strike, and now you mix in some fastballs outside, some fastballs inside. Now you're creating a lot of thoughts in a hitter's mind, and that's what you want. You want hitters going back to the dugout thinking, I don't know what to look for. Yep. I don't know if it's a fastball coming, a curveball, changeup. Now he's stressed. He's stressed on that bench. You don't want hitters sit over there going, he can't get a changeup over or a breaking ball, so I know I'm going to kill his fastball.
David Bell, the batter. Well, you look at the St. Louis rotation as well. Matt Morris is up at the top of it. Woody Williams is a very, very good pitcher, assuming he's a healthy pitcher, and he's getting better and better. Had some shoulder trouble in the winter and again in the spring, but told us before the game today that he's feeling as good now as he has so far this season. And then you've got Jeff Suppan, Jason Marquis, who came over from Atlanta, and Chris Carpenter. And especially in the case of guys like Marquis and Carpenter, I mean, they're both talented guys, and it could go one way, it could go the other way. This has the potential to be a very, very good rotation if everything works out for it. Charged by Renteria. He will throw out Bell. And the inning is over. Still scoreless going to the bottom of the 4th. Cardinal legend and Hall of Famer Red Schoendienst will be our guest in the booth when we come back to Busch Stadium. Back here at Busch Stadium, no score between the Phillies and Cardinals. Moving to the bottom of the 4th, it'll be Albert Pujols, Jim Edmonds, and Scott Rowland. You talk about the heart of the order. Coming up for the Cardinals here against Philadelphia right-hander Kevin Millwood. And along with David Justice, I'm Dan Schulman, and we're pleased to be joined in the booth here today by Hall of Famer and Cardinal legend Red Schoendienst. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm fine. Enjoying this, and I like for us to get some runs for a change.
Well, you're getting a whole lot of runs early in the season. Things have gotten a little quiet here against the Phillies. How often do you come out to the ballpark still?
Well, I'm here every day.
Great.
I make road trips occasionally, but not that many. But I'm here every day. I'm on the field, and time for the game to start, I come back up here.
Red, how has the game changed since you played? I mean, you don't tell me 1,000 things, but is there a couple things that you feel like has changed?
Well, I think since I played, it's really changed. You know, we only had 8 teams in each league. That was one thing, and the Cardinals at that time had over 20 minor league clubs. And you get somebody hurt or somebody, you know, they had 2 or 3 AAA clubs, 3 or 4 AA clubs, and you get somebody hurt, they were ready to come up to play. Now you're going to have to make a trade or do something.
Is there anybody, and you've watched Albert Pujols now on an everyday basis for 3 years, and you played with and against some remarkable players in your playing career. Is this guy as good at this early stage of his career as anybody you've seen?
Yes, he is. He's very talented, and he's focused. He comes to the ballpark and he stays focused. He's on everything. He wants to know what's going on, and he's a first-class player too.
Ground ball will back up Jimmy Rollins a little bit. A good throw on to first to get Albert one down. Now, you played with the Cardinals, coached them, also managed them to a World Series. Tell us a little bit about Stan Musial and some of the memories you have of being alongside him.
Well, I've been pretty fortunate in the game, you know, playing with Stan Musial, and then I got traded to the Giants. I played with Willie Mays, and of course I went to Milwaukee, and I played with Henry Aaron, Eddie Matthews, Spahn, and all them guys. So I've been pretty far. I've been around great ball players, and in spring training, when you get to see the American League, when the Yankees was in St. Petersburg, we trained the same place and played about 7 games in spring training with Mantle and Joe DiMaggio and all of them in the Red Sox, Ted Williams. So I've seen a lot of good ones.
Now, remember Willie used to catch the ball down around his waist a lot. Did the manager ever say anything to him? Because I know nowadays a manager wouldn't let you do that.
And no, and years back, you know, they wanted you to catch the ball with both hands, and there was no question about it. But Willie had his thing, and he was able to do it. I always did say, if you can do it, do it.
And he could do it. A base hit there for Jim Edmonds, a 1-out single for the Cardinals. We've got a question, read if it's all right, from a fan. Let's go down to field level. Kyle?
All right, thanks, Dan. I'm with Bill Hager. He's from here in St. Louis, and an old friend of Red Shandy's, Red Shandy's, a former hunting buddy, and then he's got a friend for his old buddy. Go ahead.
I just want to know, I read, whether you're going to be up at Raccoon Ranch this November.
I think so, Bill.
Well, listen, I know how you shoot, but I'd like to find out how your bumper pool game is.
Well, you know, that's not as good. So anyhow, yeah, it's always great to be over at the Raccoon Ranch with the Hagers. I'll tell you what, everything hangs with Hager.
The Raccoon Ranch.
Scott Rowland is the batter now facing Kevin Millwood. David and I were talking before you got here about this town and the love affair that has existed between this town and this team. And, you know, David played in New York, and he was talking about Philadelphia, how, you know, the fans can be pretty rough. Why do you think this town seems to have such a unique relationship with the baseball club?
Well, they got great fans here for one reason. You know, years back, we were in an old Sportsman's Park. You'd have, we packed the park every weekend because they came in from Arkansas, Kansas, and them days, there's where all our minor league clubs were. And they had guys that they followed, like Slaughter and Beasley and all of them in the minor leagues. They'd come back on a weekend, and I think that was the big thing. And their broadcasting and the covering for the Cardinals, I think, was great at all times, way back before Harry Carey and Jack Buck and Shannon and them. And we just, they had great coverage throughout the country.
And for many, many years, St. Louis was as far west as Major League Baseball went. So they had a bigger radio network than any other team in baseball. The Cardinals did. And they had, I mean, basically, if you lived west of here, you were probably a Cardinals fan.
And that's right. And they had a lot of them, and they still do it. I don't know. It's just something they're pretty knowledgeable, I think, the fans here. I know I played in Brooklyn. I played in the Yankee Stadium, played them all over. But they're great fans all over the country, I think. And I've seen other ballparks where they cheer you as when somebody made a good play, one of the visitors. So it's been fun. But here, I think they're more knowledgeable.
2-2 the count on Scott Rowland, and a sharp one hopper to the second baseman. Should be a double play, and it is. Red, thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you and the team all the success this year.
Thank you. Had fun.
Red Shandy's Hall of Famer, Cardinal legend, retired number, part of the great history of baseball here in St. Louis. Back here in St. Louis, scoreless, top of the 5th. The Cardinals and Phillies wrapping up this 3-game series. The Phillies winning each of the first 2. Tomas Perez will lead it off for Philadelphia against Chris Carpenter. Perez getting a start at second base today, just his 3rd start of the season. First at second base. He's their utility infielder. Placido Polanco getting the start off at least. Charged by Rolen on the bunt attempt. Cannot make a play. And assuming that has scored a base hit, and it is, it will be the first hit of the afternoon for the Philadelphia Phillies.
And even if he had come up clean with this, I don't think he would have gotten Tomas Perez, who actually got down the line pretty good. It was a pretty good bunt, too. And he softens it, and then he gets out of there quickly. And Rolen actually had to come a pretty long way to get this.
So the Phillies with their first hit of the afternoon. And now the batter will be Todd Pratt, the catcher, who walked to lead off the third. The Phillies have had 3 previous base runners. Pratt 4 for 10 on the season as he looks at a strike. Down the third base coach John Vukovic for the side. Perez, by the way, has decent speed, but not really much of a threat to steal. He's more of a base runner than base stealer. He might get something on, but unlikely he'll straight steal as Pratt takes the ball inside. We also have the pitcher in the on-deck circle right now. And a chopper to third. Big hop for Rolen, to second for 1, back to first. 5-4-3 double play. Well, if you're a pitcher on this St. Louis staff, and if you can get the other team to hit the ball on the ground, you're generally going to be very happy with the results.
Well, you look at this swing. What I like about this play is the throw, the positioning of the throw to the second baseman. Perfect placement in an area in which he can get to it really quickly and throw to first base. It wasn't low, it wasn't in the dirt. Made the second baseman's job easy to turn that double play.
Marlon Anderson, the second baseman today. Tony Womack was getting a lot of playing time at second and doing extremely well for the Cardinals. And then he hurt his triceps and he's missed about a week. They hope to get him back tomorrow. And Bo Hart, who was a bit of a sensation for a while last year when he got called up, is also with the team. So look out. Right over the head of Millwood on the 0-2 pitch.
And see, that's what I'm saying. Carpenter, because he hasn't pitched in quite a while, you know, he'll hang a couple of curveballs. Doesn't have a great feel every time he throws it. You see him, he'll break off some great ones, but then once in a while he'll throw something like that.
There's a better one. Swing and a miss. Millwood have gone and the inning is over. 5 shutout innings for Carpenter. 6 strikeouts. Scoreless going to the bottom of the 5th. Duel on our hands here in St. Louis today between Kevin Millwood of the Phillies and Chris Carpenter with the Cardinals. Final game of this 3-game series here in St. Louis. The Cardinals trying to avoid a sweep. Both of these teams come into action today a game below 500. There's Colin Porter looking at a pitch outside from Millwood, ball 1. After Porter, it'll be Mike Matheny and then So Taguchi down near the bottom of the Cardinal lineup, the 6, 7, and 8 hitters. I guess if you're a pitcher opposing the Cardinals, especially with this lineup today, last inning you got through Pujols, Edmonds, and Rolen, and now maybe you kind of take a deep breath and say, well, maybe I can have an easy inning, but you can't take anybody for granted, even if they're hitting down near the bottom of the lineup.
I mean, you're right. You can never take a major league offense. You can't take it off, because as soon as you make one mistake, there's your hit.
And there it is. Line drive to the left center field. Bird will try to cut it off. Keeps it in front of him, but it's still a leadoff double for Porter.
See, the one thing about Millwood, because he does not walk guys, you know you're going to get a pitch to hit. And you're right. He was able to work through the middle of that lineup. Did a great job. But if for 1 minute you slip against this is a young kid, but he can hit a fastball, especially one right over the middle of the plate, which he got right there and was able to hit a double.
So the Cardinals had a leadoff double in the first, couldn't score him. Had a leadoff single in the second, couldn't score him. Had a man on, but lost him to a double play in the third. Had a man on, but lost him to a double play in the fourth. And now they've got a leadoff double in a scoreless game here in the bottom of the 5th.
And see, now you'll see if he'll try to pitch Matheny the same way he pitched Renteria earlier. Is trying to get him to pull a pitch to keep from getting this runner over to third base, because this is a pitcher's duel, and it may take 1 run to win this game. So you got to try to do your best to keep that guy at second base.
Todd Pratt adding a level of signs now for Kevin Millwood with a runner out there at second base.
Now see, there's two ways you can normally get a guy to pull. You can pound him inside and force him to pull, or you can get him looking inside and throw him a breaking ball away that's down, and he'll have a tendency to roll over it because he starts to look inside.
Going away on him right here. Bunted back to the mound, and the only play is to first base. So the sacrifice from Matheny moves Porter to third. The Stanley Cup playoffs, the conference semifinals, continue tonight on ESPN and ESPN2 at 7 Eastern. The Montreal Canadiens trying to avoid elimination as they take on the Tampa Bay Lightning, trailing that series 3-0. And then Calgary trying to pull off a big upset against the Detroit Red Wings. They lead the series 2-1. Game 4 tonight from Calgary, 10 Eastern, over on ESPN2. Infield coming in now for the Phillies. So Taguchi is the batter. Runner at third, one out. And the Phillies playing this like one run might decide this game. A pitch out to see if a squeeze is on, if the runner's coming down the line, but nothing doing so far, and it's 1-0 on Taguchi.
And you see both managers are feeling the same thing, that this may be a game that may be won 1-0. You see the Phillies pull their infield in to try to stop the play at home. And the way Carpenter's been pitching, I mean, it's easily understandable why you would probably bunt there. The only thing is now you're expecting Taguchi to get a hit, because if he doesn't, now you have the pitcher coming up who's not a guy who you expect to drive in runs. So it's a bit of a gamble.
1-1 the count as Millwood looks into Pratt. At third quarter, scoreless game, bottom of the fifth inning, down and away, backhanded by Pratt, and it's now 2-1 on Taguchi.
See, here's the thing with Matheny. If he bunts, you know he's giving himself up. But if you give him an opportunity to swing the bat, he could drive a ball through the infield to the right side for a base hit and score the run. But when you make him bunt, you're giving him up. And now you're expecting Taguchi now to come up with your big hit, because no one expects your pitcher to be the guy that drives in a run. If he gets Taguchi, now you got the pitcher. Now he has an opportunity of pitching out of this inning.
Or at least come up with a fly ball. Something
Absolutely.
deep enough to get him in. Or a bunt. And it's going to work. So they squeeze the run home. A double and a couple of bunts here for the Cardinals to take the lead.
And the Phillies thought it was going to be the first pitch of that at bat. They pitched out, and it didn't deter Tony La Russa of putting on the squeeze. Does a great job of getting that bunt down. And as a hitter, you're not trying to be fine when it's a squeeze. You just want to get it in play, because the runner on third has a head start. He's going to be safe. You just need to get it in play. Don't be too fine with the bunt.
So 2 outs and nobody on as Carpenter comes up, and now Carpenter knows that he has a run to work with after the squeeze by Taguchi. 1-0 St. Louis. Carpenter 1 for 7 on the season. Taguchi getting a rare opportunity to start here today and making the most of it. And the guy he drove in, Colin Porter, doesn't play very much either, but they're taking the place of Langford and Sanders, both getting the afternoon off. Look out, up and in, 2 balls and a strike.
And see, when you got a guy like Millwood who throws a lot of strikes, he's a good guy to call a squeeze on, because you know he's around the plate. Very seldom do you see him way out of the strike zone. So he's a good guy that you want to call a squeeze on, because you know he's going to be right around the plate. Now, if it were a pitcher out there who's all over the place, you'd be less inclined to call a squeeze, because it wouldn't work out for you.
When the St. Louis Cardinals are a team that haven't had to manufacture a whole lot of runs so far this season, because so many guys have been hitting home runs, but they've cooled off a bit lately. And down near the bottom of the lineup, they do manufacture the run that gives them the lead. Carpenter strikes out to end the inning, but a double, a sacrifice, and then a squeeze by So Taguchi pushes across the first run of the afternoon.
ESPN's Day Game. Brought to you by K Jewelers. This Mother's Day, surprise her with diamonds from K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K. And Monster. Will today be the day you say you're hired? Monster. Today's the day.
Our own Kyle Peterson taking advantage of the opportunity to get a haircut out in center field. So for the folks back in Bristol, that shows up on the expense report. He better be paying for that baby himself out there. We'll check in with Kyle momentarily as Marlon Byrd leads off the 6th inning for the Phillies. Cardinals now leading 1-0. I like that in Seattle when they'd have the Jay Buhner days, when if you came and got your head shaved, you'd get a discounted ticket or a free ticket or whatever it was into the ball game.
This might be one of the best places, though, to be a barber. Man, look at all these people in here. You know, somebody needs a haircut in here.
Well, at least half the people here today are kids. A lot of folks have brought their kids out to the ballpark today. Now, he doesn't need a haircut. He's with you and me. We get the group rate. After Byrd, it'll be Rollins and then Bobby Abreu. And a pop-up for Renteria. Byrd is gone. One down. Little haircut play-by-play now. Back to Kyle. What do you got, Kyle?
Dan, we are in far right field, deep right field. The ladies from Great Clips here are giving free haircuts. All the money goes to St. Louis Children's Hospital to the transplant unit, and thought I'd come out here and take advantage of it. This is Rhonda from Great Clips. The only thing that I've asked Rhonda is that she keeps my hair just a little bit longer than you two guys.
There goes your ride to the airport, buddy, after the game.
Well, I mean, that makes a lot of sense because he couldn't carry a ball head like me and you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good tip.
Yeah. We choose to.
Yeah, you know, we're comfortable.
We're comfortable with our
finish it.
With what we're lacking.
With what we don't have, we're comfortable with.
You know, we had hair for like 30 years. That got old. Now we want to try something.
I saw an old classic back with the Braves. You see the fade I had?
With you?
High top fade.
Yeah.
You know, I trimmed up nicely. A couple parts in there.
Lined into right center field. And this will get down a base hit for Rollins. Cut off by Edmonds. And he will hold him to a single. Peter Pasquarelli always comes up with the proper terminology and information. Reminds us that the proper way we're supposed to say it is we are follically challenged. That's the politically correct way.
Thank you, Peter. But what's the term for when you've already let it all go and when you're still fighting it? See, my buddy Dan right here is fighting it still. He's still got the reverse mohawk going on the sides.
Mohawk.
He got the, you know, the east-west mohawk going. As you can see right there, see.
You know what? You know, I spent all winter with Dick Vitale making fun of me and rubbing my head and all that. I want to get away from that this summer.
Go all the way out.
All right.
All the way down. I mean, it's in now.
All right. If I'm with you next week, it'll be gone.
Now, look, I don't want to mess up your marriage now. don't make me be the cause.
All right.
If your wife is happy with it right there, you keep it like that. Don't do it. See my boy on TV? That's me. See,
that's you. Yeah.
We're in the same boat.
All right.
You're still fighting it, but that's how your wife like it. Don't get me. Don't make me get you thrown out the house.
All right.
Okay.
Here's Bobby Abreu. Rollins at first with a 1 out, 1-0 Cardinals in the 6th inning. Jim Thome in the on-deck circle. And Chris Carpenter having by far his best start of the young season. He has struck out Abreu twice. Runner doesn't go, and the pitch swung on and missed. Abreu late on that. Just got a piece, and it's 1-2. And Carpenter, as you talked about a couple of innings ago, David, he's really mixing up his pitches, the pitch selection and the pitch location.
That pitch was 91 miles an hour. If he's not throwing that breaking ball and his changeup and mixing his pitches, that pitch gets hammered. But because he's mixing all his pitches, that 91 will look like 95 because you're thinking about those other pitches as well.
Carpenter getting a chance to work with Dave Duncan, the longtime pitcher coach here in St. Louis, and of course Tony La Russa's deputy for so many seasons. St. Louis always a team like Atlanta. They'll always go out every offseason and find 2 or 3 guys with good arms. As you can see, how the outs are being spread around here today. Guys who have maybe their contracts are up, or they were hurt, or they're coming off a bad season. A chance to take somebody with potential and maybe get them back to where they used to be. Carpenter certainly falls into that category, coming off the shoulder problems. When you're 6'6", a first-round pick and can throw over 90, you've got potential. There's Woody Williams, who has had a great stretch here in his mid to late 30s in St. Louis. Check swing tapper down to Pujols for one. Renteria for one and back to first, not in time. Abreu's speed just too much for them to turn the double play.
But we were talking earlier, so much has been said about Houston and Chicago within this division. And the reason is, as we look at the pitch, it was a breaking ball once again, good location. I mean, a great hitter like Bobby Abreu, you get him way out front. Good speed allows it not to be a double play. But you're talking about Houston and Chicago. Both teams, I say, have named pitchers that have a track record of being very successful. Roger Clemens, Andy Pettitte. I like Roy Oswalt. You look at the Cubs, Kerry Wood, Mark Pryor when he's back. Zambrano, I think, is outstanding. Clement. But when you look at this starting rotation, you're talking about a rotation that has question marks. Woody Williams needs to get his arm strength back. He's had some problems. Chris Carpenter has had some problems. Matt Morris is solid.
Thome on the first pitch sends a towering drive to right field and way out of here over the bullpen into the seats. 2-run home run for Thome, who continues to maul St. Louis Cardinal pitching, and the Phillies jump on top 2-1.
That's one of the things we alluded to earlier, is that Chris Carpenter, because he's working on that sinker, you need to keep it down in the strike zone in order for it to have movement. When you elevate it, you lose the movement on that pitch. And a fastball hitter like Thome will make you pay. This pitch is right up, out over the plate, right down the middle. No sink, 91 miles an hour. And guys like Thome just don't miss those type of pitches that often.
2-1 Philadelphia. Matt Burrell now with the bouncing ball. Down to Scott Rowland at third, and the inning is over. But Jim Thome, now in 66 career at-bats against the Cardinals, has 14 home runs. And there was very little doubt about this one from the moment Thome made contact. Back here in St. Louis, 2-1 the Phillies over the Cardinals, bottom of the sixth. And a strike taken by Marlon Anderson to begin the inning. Jim Thome, a one-man wrecking crew when it comes to Cardinal pitching. Look at these preposterous numbers that he has in 66 at-bats lifetime against anybody wearing a Cardinal uniform. And remember, they'll meet again next week in Philadelphia. Whatever the game plan is, whatever they're talking about in the pitchers' meetings, they got to change it up a little bit. But then again, Thome is one of the best hitters in baseball, and he's done a lot of damage against a lot of very good pitchers. 14 home runs in 66 at-bats. He doesn't hit many cheapies either. You're not hanging on the edge of your seat wondering if his are going to just scrape over the wall. Breaking ball, a little flare into left field, will carry out to Burrell, and Marlon Anderson's retired, one down. Played with this guy. I mean, tell us about him as a teammate, as a hitter, watching him in BP.
Oh, he's a tremendous teammate. I mean, in the clubhouse, he's one of the best guys in the game. But he's also another one of those guys that will get to the ballpark early. He's always working in a cage. I mean, sometimes I think he swings too much. Like, don't get tired. We need you for the game. But I used to always mess with him about his power.
Renteria, shallow right. On comes Abreu, 2 down.
I used to tell him the only park that can hold him is Yellowstone.
Yep.
That's it. He has enough power to hit it out anywhere. And see, like we were talking last week, when you hit 47 home runs, you have to be able to hit the ball out of different parts of the ballpark. Center field, left center field, and referring to Thome, who's a left-handed hitter. Because pitching is too good in Major League. It'll be hard for you to pull 47 home runs. And that's tough to do. You have to have the ability to hit the ballpark out of left center field, center, and right field. And he has that ability, and that's why his home run numbers are up, because if you pitch him away, he'll drive you out of left center field as well. I mean, he's a tremendous hitter, and he's very intelligent too. We were talking before the game, and he has a game plan when he enters in the game. He, just like Bobby Abreu, these guys are not just mindlessly up there swinging.
Meanwhile, the Phillies continue to do a very good job against Albert Pujols, who doesn't seem to do a whole lot of damage against them. He pops up to end the inning. Albert's a quiet 0 for 3. 2-1 Phillies through 6. Back here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. It's the Phillies 2 and the Cardinals 1. Top of the 7th inning here as the Cardinals try to avoid being swept by the Philadelphia Phillies. Lost 6-3 on Tuesday night, 7-3 on Tuesday night, 6-3 last night. It'll be David Bell, Tomas Perez, and Todd Pratt against Chris Carpenter, who had been sailing along until Jim Thome took him deep. A 2-out, 2-run homer last inning. There's Bell, first pitch swinging, lines the ball to left field. On comes Taguchi for out number 1. Well, don't forget to join ESPN for Sunday Night Baseball. John Miller and Joe Morgan will be at the ballpark at Arlington to watch Manny Ramirez and the Boston Red Sox take on the much improved, it looks like, Texas Rangers. They're off to a very good start. It all begins with baseball tonight at 7 Eastern. The game also available on ESPN Deportes and ESPN Radio and an ESPN HD. So no matter where you are or how you're looking forward to listening for it, you'll find it. Texas is hitting .314 as a team, the best in the major leagues, and that's with Mark Teixeira out the last couple of weeks, but he's getting close. Hank Blaylock's a guy we're going to be talking about for years to come.
Michael Young as well. Soriano's down there. I mean, they're a fun team to watch.
Kevin Mensch is good. He's fun to watch too, and he's had some big games recently.
I like those young guys, man. I like to see young guys going out there and giving it 130% every game, and that's the way the Rangers are playing.
Fouled out by Perez to stay alive at 0-2. And Texas right now is 12-9, tied for the American League West lead with Anaheim, although Anaheim is out to a 10-1 lead in Detroit today in the 6th inning. Texas has a 3-1 lead, 2nd inning in Kansas City. A lot of day games today around the majors. Red Sox are in action as well. As you can see, they've got a 2-0 lead on the Devil Rays, 6th inning at Fenway Park. Inside to Perez, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Just 3 hits on the afternoon for the Phillies, but they've got a 2-1 lead. Big swing and a miss at a curveball there from Carpenter, and he picks up strikeout number 7.
And I'll say it again, the way he's moving his pitches around the strike zone and up and down, in and out. And he tried to get him with a fastball inside, didn't hit with it, came back with that tremendous breaking ball. Just a hard bite to it and tough pitch to hit. Just one mistake in the ball game.
Keeping the pitch count down pretty well despite all the strikeouts. The 7 a season high for him. Career high is a dozen. Did that against the Yankees 3 years ago. Thome going over and telling the manager how he got it done, how he hit it out.
See, this is an example of what good pitching will do to a ball game. Both these teams have some weapons offensively. You got guys that can hit the ball at the ballpark, that can hit for average. But when you have pitchers out there that are hitting their spots, mixing in their locations, it's tough to be very successful. Thome was able to get a fastball that he could handle, and he did something with it. You had a 2-1 ball game, but both these guys are doing outstanding job of locating their pitches today, mixing them in and out and up and down.
Carpenter 1-1 on the season. Millwood kneeling in the on-deck circle, 2-2. This is his 5th start of the season. Threw a no-hitter just about a year ago at this time for the Phillies. Into the knees for a called strike, and it's 2-2. Pratt, the batter, he's walked and grounded into a double play. Philadelphia goes home to take on Arizona. The Cardinals wait for the arrival of the Cubs. Cubs are actually already here, having arrived in town early this morning, as that pitch brings Pratt to a knee, and it's 3-2. Arizona got some bad news with Richie Sexson suffering an apparently fairly serious arm injury, but all the talk in the NL Central will be here in St. Louis over the weekend. The Cubs and Cardinals, considered by just about everybody to be one of the best rivalries in baseball. I know you played in some Yankee Red Sox games, so you would have some things to say about that. Ball 4. And Carpenter just couldn't throw strikes to the number 8 hitter. So the Cubs into town for 4 games over the weekend. Somebody's waiting for him already. We saw this guy before the game walking around in a Bartman t-shirt, and the number there is 96, and it says 96 years and counting since the Cubs have won the World Series. Ready to get on the Cubs right away. Ground ball down to third. Tough hop, eats up Rolling a little bit, stays with it, and throws out Millwood to end the inning. We have arrived at the 7th inning stretch here at Busch Stadium. It remains 2-1 for the Phillies. Edmonds rolling, the first 2 scheduled hitters for the Cardinals. Back to St. Louis as the sun makes an appearance here this afternoon, poking its way through the clouds. Dan Schulman, David Justice, and Kyle Peterson with you on the ESPN Day Game here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. A couple of years from now, we won't be in this same stadium. The Cardinals are on their way to a new facility, which is scheduled to open in April of 2006. It'll be Jim Edmonds, Scott Rowland, Colin Porter for the Cardinals here in the 7th, trailing Kevin Millwood and the Phillies 2-1. Not that there's anything wrong with this stadium, but it seems like stadiums, David, have about a lifespan of maybe 30-40 years, and you go get yourself a new one. And the Cardinals, from what I understand, by and large are financing it privately, and it's going to be built adjacent to this stadium. Actually, part of the new stadium is on land that's currently occupied by this stadium, so they'll have to kind of tear it down and build it up in stages, do a lot of work after the end of the 2005 season, before 2006. But it won't be a cookie cutter multi-purpose facility. You'll be able to see out through center field. You'll see the arch and the skyline and all that kind of thing, which is all the rage in all the new parks. No play there for Pratt. Artist's rendering of what the new facility will look like. And as you can see, you'll be able to see the arch out there in center field. Looks like kind of like Philadelphia, actually, where we were last week.
And hopefully it'll be as nice as Philadelphia's.
Yep.
But you know, this stadium I still say is very beautiful. And this is a nice stadium. I've always liked this stadium. I've always liked playing here. Sometimes, you know, when you tear down an old stadium, it's because it's run down.
Yeah.
But this stadium, I think, by far is not run down.
Now, there are a few teams who are not on the verge of replacing their stadium, whose stadiums are not nearly as nice as Busch Stadium is right now.
I agree with you. This is a nice stadium. Always has been.
Yeah. There was a real battle going on in the last year or two as they were looking at financing and so forth, that the building, the new stadium, might not be in downtown St. Louis, and that would have been a shame. I mean, this is the place where it should stay and where it will stay. Millwood will get a visit from Pratt, and now the Cardinals have some activity in their bullpen. Left-hander Ray King. Busch Stadium opened for business in 1966, so it'll be 40 years for this stadium by the time the new field opens up. As you look at King, the former Atlanta Brave. 1-2 on Edmonds, who has struck out and singled here today. 2-1 Philadelphia leading, bottom of the 7th. And a fly ball into left field. Burrell looked like he dropped the sunglasses down when that one got up there, and he makes the catch. And the sun just poked out this half inning, so we know who's prepared by who's got the sunglasses out there with him.
You know, earlier I was talking about game planning for a pitcher, but you got to understand, pitchers also game plan for the hitters as well. Before the game, Millwood was in there looking at tapes of these Cardinals hitters, formulating his own game plan. But what I liked is Brett Myers was sitting beside him. Brett Myers is a young kid, still learning himself, still learning how to pitch in the major leagues. And I think it was tremendous for him to be sitting there beside Millwood, because anytime you guys can talk about the hitters and how each one of you face them and what you think is a way of getting him out and what do you think he hits well, it's only going to help your pitching staff, because one pitcher may see something another pitcher doesn't see. And if you can find a weakness in a hitter and everybody gets on the same game plan, that hitter's not going to hurt your ball club in that series.
Good breaking ball there, and it's 0-2, and it'll be one of these interesting situations where you play a team only 2 series the whole season, yet it's 1 week after the other. And if both of these teams stay on their rotations, then Millwood and Carpenter would face these respective teams again next week, so they'll have to make more adjustments.
And that's why it's such a cat and mouse game, because you get to a point where you face a pitcher so much that there's nothing he can throw you that's going to surprise you. It's just a matter of him locating his pitches. The way these two pitchers are pitching today, and they faced, I mean, this St. Louis ball club, these guys have faced Millwood before. You know, the Phillies, I'm not too sure too many guys, their guys have faced Carpenter, but once you see a guy enough, he's not going to surprise you. So for the pitcher, that's why it's so important for your location. If Carpenter hangs a lot of breaking balls, he doesn't pitch the way he pitches today. If Millwood is throwing that fastball down the middle instead of hitting the corners today, he's not successful today.
So I don't know who would be a pitcher that you faced time and time again. Say a guy like Nomo. Maybe you faced him a lot in your career. I mean, would it get to the point where you would know what was coming? It's just a question of whether he could put the pitch in the spot to make him successful?
Well, yes. Some pitchers, you take a pitcher who it just is not, let's say a run-of-the-mill pitcher, your average pitcher. Normally the average pitcher cannot consistently get his fastball, curveball, and changeup over. All your best pitchers can do it. A guy like Pedro Martinez, you know, 2-1 count, a fastball count, he may throw you a breaking ball, and it's a crisp, hard breaking ball for a strike. Your average pitcher can't do that.
Swung on and popped up at a very shallow center field. And back there to get it is Perez for out number 2. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. On Sunday, May 9th, bring your mom to the ballpark and join Major League Baseball in celebration of Mother's Day and the fight against breast cancer. We are here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Dan Schulman, David Justice, Kyle Peterson with you. Just under 30,000 in attendance here today, trying to see if the Cardinals can avoid getting swept. Jim Thome's 2-run home run is the difference in this game right now.
So like I was saying, when you're facing a pitcher who cannot consistently get his breaking ball over the plate, I don't care if I see him this week or next week, I know I'm going to hit him hard, because you're in fact making him a one-pitch pitcher, because you don't even worry about that other stuff. So what happens is next week when you face him, if he's not getting his breaking ball and his changeup over, or he's getting over, you know, rarely, he's a fastball pitcher. You just hope he gives you strikes and not walks you.
There's a base hit into right field for Porter. He's having a good day. He's now 2 for 3. But against an elite pitcher like a Pedro, who, as you say, can throw 3 pitches for a strike at any time of the count. Let's say you've had 25 at-bats against him. Can you now guess with him a little bit better than you could earlier in your career, or do you still have absolutely no idea what he's going to throw in what count?
Well, you can try to guess with him until you get 2 strikes. And with a guy like Pedro, first thing I used to look at is, and I didn't have a lot of success against him, but the few times I did get hits off of him, I would find myself looking for his changeup, because on that particular day, he may have been throwing a lot of changeups for strikes, so I knew I was going to get one. But if it was a day in which he maybe wasn't throwing a lot of changeups for strikes, but he was throwing more fastballs and breaking balls, well, then I look for the fastball. But that's not the guy. Guys like him, Schilling, Randy Johnson, like I used to always say, you don't make your money off them guys. You hope you get a 0 for 3 with a walk, maybe a 1 for 4. You wait on that next guy, you know, that run-of-the-mill pitcher.
Mike Matheny, the batter. No activity in the Philadelphia bullpen. The pitch got nice and low for a very effective Kevin Millwood so far here today. Millwood steps off. Porter back to first. 0-1 the count on Matheny, who's grounded out and had a sacrifice this afternoon. Matheny, after last season, received an honor here in St. Louis. The first annual Darryl Kyle Award was given to Mike Matheny. Matheny was a very good friend of Kyle's. Kyle, of course, passed away a couple of years ago, and the award is given out to a Cardinals player who possesses a lot of the traits that Kyle possessed, specifically a good teammate, a good father, charitable contributions, and you can see Mike Matheny's very active in his community. Darryl Kyle still and always will be remembered here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Still a locker for him with a jersey hanging in it in the St. Louis clubhouse, and they couldn't have picked a better winner of that award in its inaugural season than Mike Matheny.
You know, Albert Pujols had stated that he's helping Hector Luna adjust to the big leagues, because he remembers Darryl Kyle putting his arm around him when he came to the big leagues. Just like my experience. I remember Bruce Sutter, Willie Stargell, Gerald Perry. When I first came to the big league, they wouldn't let me pay for anything. But they also told me, hey, kid, when you're a veteran, you make sure you don't let the young kid pay for anything.
There's a base hit through the right side from Matheny. Porter will stop at second. Back-to-back base hits with 2 outs here for the Cardinals. And so Taguchi has been called back by Tony La Russa. Ray Lankford is out in the on-deck circle.
Look at this. Now, this breaking ball, he actually hangs up, and Matheny saw it well and was able to hit it to right field.
Joe Kerrigan, the pitching coach, to the mound. We talked about Lankford and Reggie Sanders both getting the day off, at least as a starter. Day game after a night game, and also neither one of them has had much success at all against Kevin Millwood, but Ray Lankford's going to try to improve on a 3 for 22 lifetime matchup against Kevin Millwood, as you see Real Cormier showing signs of starting to throw out of the Phillies bullpen.
Ray Lankford's just happy to be back in the game. And he sat out all last year. I talked to him before the game. He said, his back was really bothering him. He got it all taken care of, started feeling better, and decided, I'm going to come back and try to play another year. He did a great job in spring training, earning a spot on this roster. Already has 3 home runs, so definitely he can still run a little bit, so he'll help this ball club, no doubt about it.
Comes up in a key situation here. 2 on, 2 out, bottom of the 7th. And the Cardinals trailing the Phillies 2-1. Lankford pitch hitting for So Taguchi against a guy who has dominated him over the years, Kevin Millwood. Rounding over again and cooling off a little bit as the breeze picks up. Flags have it blowing from right to left here at Busch Stadium. Back-to-back 2-out base hits by Porter and Matheny. Lankford was traded to San Diego for Woody Williams, but has now come back to apparently finish up his career in a Cardinal uniform, where he spent the vast majority of his big league time. The 0-1 from Millwood, and it misses inside, a ball and a strike. Porter out at second base. Mike Matheny at first. Suddenly the Cardinals, after scoring like crazy the first couple of weeks, haven't been able to score a whole lot the last few games. Phillies have really shut them down. The 1-1 and a swing and a foul back. The Phillies have held the Cardinals to 7 runs in this 3-game series.
You see Millward's going with that cutter slider, a pitch just pounding in on his hands. He's going with that pitch, but he has to make sure that he keeps it at that level, because Ray Lankford is a tremendous low ball hitter. If he gets that slider low and in, that's a pitch that Ray Lankford can really handle.
Millwood still under 100 pitches here this afternoon. Inside, 2 balls and 2 strikes on Lankford. They've got another pinch hitter in the on-deck circle right now in Chris Carpenter's spot. Bo Hart has popped out of the dugout. Millwood has really slowed down his pace here after these back-to-back base hits, trying to strand a couple here in the 7th inning. 3-2. Millwood wanted it, didn't get it. Now the runners will be on the move.
And this is a pitch he definitely wanted. As you see, it was a little two-seamer that actually came back. Looked like a pretty good pitch.
I know you're a hitter. That
Way inside. Way inside.
That ball's a strike. Maybe a break for the Cardinals. Porter and Matheny will be off and running. Same pitch. Maybe that one a little bit further inside. If he called the last one a ball, he's going to call that one a ball. But Millwood's got to be frustrated. He has to feel like he executed his pitches.
Well, the umpire has a better view than all of us. That pitch is actually a little bit in, and as you can see, the umpire is over Pratt's right shoulder, so he's looking right down that path of that pitch inside. And as you said, that pitch was a little bit more inside than the previous pitch.
But it's a walk to load the bases, and it'll bring up another pinch hitter, Bo Hart. Came up last year for the first 3 weeks or so, hit better than 400 with the Cardinals. Wound up at about half a season's worth of at-bats, hitting .277. First pitch swinging, he pops it up. Thome into foul territory with room, and the Cardinals will leave the bases loaded here in the 7th. Maybe even a little bit of booing from these normally very supportive St. Louis fans as the Cardinals let another opportunity slip away.
ESPN's Day Game, brought to you by the DVD Handycam camcorder from Sony. And Extended Stay America, a great value for a day, a week, or even longer. Why stay anywhere else?
Back here in St. Louis, a couple of blocks away from the ballpark, the Landing. Here, back inside the ballpark, the Phillies have a 2-1 lead on the Cardinals, along with David Justice and Kyle Peterson. I'm Dan Shulman. The Phillies, a couple of innings away from maybe sweeping this series here in St. Louis. Veteran left-hander Ray King spent last year with Atlanta. Came over in the J.D. Drew trade. Makes his 11th appearance of the season. He made 80 appearances out of the bullpen for the Braves last year. With King and Steve Klein, they got a couple of lefties who been around the block a time or two and can take the ball just about every day. Marlon Byrd will lead off the 8th inning for Philadelphia. The leadoff man is 0 for 3. Ray Langford stays in the game out in left field. The Cardinals leaving the bases loaded in the bottom of the 7th. At some point, Larry Boa is just going to have to be able to count on somebody at the top of that lineup to get on base, whether it's Marlon Byrd, whether it's Jimmy Rollins. That's a fair ball. It'll hit the short wall and bounce back out into right field, and Byrd with a good speed is easily into second base.
And you can see it. Byrd is starting to swing the bat better. Rollins' first at bat was a line drive. As you see, this pitch is a fastball out over the plate. He hits it where it's pitched. And see, a guy like Byrd, all they want you to do is get on base. There's no reason for you to try to even think long ball. Your job on this ball club is to get on base. He has some good speed as well. He's a guy that can make things happen at the top of this lineup. He can do it as well as Rollins. But if you get these two guys going at the top of this lineup with all that thunder coming behind them, they can score a lot of runs.
Rollins tries to get the bunt down, and it is ruled to be a foul ball. Bunted it off his foot, we would assume. Rollins is 1 for 3 today. Has also had some time as the leadoff man so far this season, but he's hitting 179. And he talked a lot this spring, David, about cutting down his swing, cutting down on the strikeouts, using his speed, you know, saying all the right things, but he's been unable so far to actually execute it out on the field. See if they keep the bunt on here. And this one he does get down, nicely down, right to the third baseman. Sacrifice for Rollins, Byrd to third. So runner to third, 1 out. Time now for our Baseball 101 segment of the show. Let's go and revisit Kyle Peterson. Kyle.
Thank you, Dan. I'm down here with Carrie. She's from St. Louis, and she's got a question for DJ. Go ahead, Carrie.
What's your opinion with our home record at 3-9 this year? What can we do to turn that around?
You know what? I have no reason why this team can't win here, because this is one of the best stadiums with the best home crowd that you'll ever find in the game. I can't tell you how to turn it around. I mean, I could see if we were playing in a home stadium, in which it's kind of tough to play there, because sometimes if you play in a home stadium, let's say a New York, for instance, where there's so much pressure for you to win, there is a tendency to put extra pressure on yourself when you're not playing well at home, because you're going to hear from your fans. But here, there's no pressure here. The fans are so supportive. that the team shouldn't feel extra pressure to try to win at home.
So do we just chalk it up to it's a fluke? It's early in the season.
I just chalk it up to a fluke, and it just I don't see it lasting for a long time. And this is a great place to play.
That'll be out of play down the left field line. Coming into today, if you look at the Cardinals' numbers home and road, the offensive numbers were not that different. It's the pitching numbers here at home that have really been the problem. On the road this year, the Cardinals have the best ERA in the National League. At home, they have the worst ERA in the National League. 0-2 the count on Abreu. Infield is in as he takes up and away. The Phillies trying to get another run home, get an insurance run home here in the top of the 8th. Good speed at third. Marlon Byrd. And the 1-2 from King swung on and bounced down to first. Runner coming home. The throw for Pujols. Big collision at the plate. Matheny hangs on and Byrd is out.
Now Byrd was a football player in high school, and he was moving down that line. That's a great job by Matheny. Tell you what, Pujols got it to him quick, and he just prepared for it. But that was one heck of a collision at home. You see here on the swing, Pujols gets rid of it quickly and delivers a great throw. And you know what? That's a very aggressive play by Marlon Byrd.
Man, that's some big-time contact at home plate.
Because you know Matheny's going to try to block home plate. I mean, that's what catchers are taught to do, make it tough for you to score. And you got to find some kind of way, especially in a situation like that, to cause a collision. Hopefully he'll drop the ball.
Couple of gold gloves already for Mike Matheny. He just showed you one of the many reasons why he's considered to be one of the best defensive catchers in baseball. The runner at first, 2 down, and the batter was Tomey, who homered his last time up.
Guarantee you Matheny will feel that one tomorrow, though.
As a ball player, can you, and I'm not asking you to name names, but can you look around the league and say that catcher will stand in and take a hit and that catcher won't?
I'll tell you, I'll give you a good example. Mike Scioscia. You had to run him over with the Dodgers or you weren't going to score. I remember poor Lemke trying to score on him one time, and Mike Scioscia lowered the boom on little Mark Lemke, and he was and from home plate to the dugout is a long stretch, and Lemke's hobbling over there like a deer that just got shot, you know, just hobbling over there. But yeah, Scioscia, you had to run him over. There's certain catchers that are not going to concede. I say Veritek's another guy like that. They block home plate.
That's got to go a long way with teammates when you know that the catcher's going to risk life and limb standing in there like that.
You just know. Byrd knows right now. He's already committed to this contact because he can see the play developing to his left, and Pujols gets a perfect throw. Thank goodness that Pujols threw him a good pitch, because had this ball been to his left or down or made him jump a little bit, Matheny would have been in a bad position.
Yeah, you're right. There was a play at the plate last night, a controversial play where the call went against the Cardinals. A great stop on the infield by Marlon Anderson, but then his throw was off to the first base side of the plate. Matheny had to dive back toward the plate with his glove, and he thought he got the ball there in time. And it was Marlon Byrd again who came in as a pinch runner last night and scored the go-ahead run in the 9th inning. Tony La Russa very upset about the play, but
well, and Anderson had more time. I mean, that ball was scalded last night. Anderson had more time to make a better throw, but he didn't think he had a lot of time, so he jumped up quickly and threw home. But then he did a good job of even attempting to even make a play, but it was a bang play, a close play.
The 1-2 to Tomey, and a swing and a fly ball right field and deep. Did he get enough? No, he did not. Couple of feet away from another home run for Jim Tomey, but it stays in the ballpark. And the Phillies cannot add to their lead after this big collision at home plate. To the bottom of the 8th inning here in St. Louis, where the sun has made another appearance. Here over Busch Stadium, 2-1 the Phillies over the Cardinals. Phillies were looking to add some runs in the top of the 8th inning, couldn't get it done. The collision at the plate, the fly ball by Tomey that just does stay in the ballpark. And now right-hander Tim Worrell comes out of the Philadelphia bullpen. The closer last year for San Francisco with 38 saves. Signed as a free agent with Philadelphia to be the setup man in front of Billy Wagner. And he will face the top of the Cardinal lineup. Marlon Anderson, Edgar Renteria, and Albert Pujols. As Billy Wagner knows, it's getting close to Billy time right now.
And what the Phillies did is they went out and got Tim Worrell. They went out and got Roberto Hernandez. And what reason why you get these guys, because they're big game pitchers. They're former closers. As we spoke earlier, Worrell was outstanding last year in the absence of Nen, but he pitched in a lot of big games last year. Roberto Hernandez has over 300 saves. He's been in a lot of big games. So you go out there and you get two guys that have big game experience. They've pitched in big games to be your setup men. To then give it over to Billy Wagner, who is one of the best closers in the game.
Well, nothing deflates a team or gives a manager an ulcer quicker than a bullpen that lets leads slip away. You can see the career numbers or some of the outstanding numbers for this trio of relievers. And the Philadelphia bullpen was among the worst in baseball last year. They had a pretty good team last year, but they just couldn't hold a lead in the late innings. Edgar Renteria looks at a strike.
But there's nothing like experience, especially in that bullpen. This Phillies team, they're going to be involved in a lot of big games this year. And you need the back end of that bullpen to be very successful. So you go out and get some experienced guys that have been in the fire a lot, who experienced failure as well as a lot of success, because those are the guys that can usually handle the situation.
A liner into center for Renteria, his first hit of the afternoon. The tying run is on base with 1 out in the 8th inning. And now striding toward the plate is Albert Pujols, 0 for 3, but representing the go-ahead run. We mentioned off the top of the show today, the Phillies seem to have a handle on how to pitch Albert Pujols. He has not hit a home run against them in 78 at-bats. They keep him in the park, doesn't do a lot of damage against them, but he can make people forget all about that with one swing of the bat.
And see, this is the time of the game where you're thinking, I got to keep him in the ballpark. I cannot make mistakes on the inner part of the plate with Albert Pujols.
Out of play right side.
But he, like Tomey, is a guy who can drive the ball out of the ballpark to right field, center field, and left center. That's what makes him so tough. That's why he hits a lot of home runs. These guys don't have a lot of holes. You got to be very careful. One mistake, you may think you can pitch him away, and he drives you out of right field. So this is a guy that's very dangerous, a guy you cannot let beat you.
Remember, he hit a game winner, I think it was the bottom of the 9th inning last year on a Sunday night game against John Smoltz in one of the premier regular season matchups of a year ago. Best versus best. The 0-1 here, and it's a fastball inside, a ball and a strike now. Kevin Millwood, by the way, goes 7 very strong innings today, gives up just a run on 7 hits. And activity out of the pen now. Right-hander Roberto Hernandez and left-hander Real Cormier. Billy Wagner still looks pretty relaxed on that chair. They're going to use all of these experienced setup guys to try to get them through the 8th inning and save Wagner for the 9th. A swing and a base hit into left field. Burrow can't cut it off before it gets to the wall. Renteria on his way to third. Pujols into second.
And Tim Worrell went in 2 pitches ago, in off the plate, and tried to come back in, and this pitch got more of the plate. And I said, there's just no holes when you're dealing with Albert Pujols. Here's a guy who can handle the whole strike zone. He can pull it. He can hit it the other way. Just a tremendous hitter. As you can see, this is a fastball in inner part of the plate. He pulls it, and he pulls it so hard, Burrow couldn't even cut it off.
Now Larry Bowa's got a decision to make, and here he comes up the steps. As Pujols arrives at second base, second and third, 1 out for St. Louis. Jim Edmonds is the batter. And Larry Bowa's got a lefty out of the bullpen in Real Cormier. So we'll see if he makes the move or how exactly he wants to play this as he makes his way out to Tim Worrell on the mound. Cormier looks ready. He's just looking on, wondering if he's going to be getting the call. Scott Rowland is the on-deck hitter. There's the signal from Larry Bowa. That's it for Worrell. Cormier on his way in. The Cardinals try to tie it or maybe even take the lead with the beginning here in the bottom of the 8th. If you're a Cardinal fan, the right part of the order is coming up. Jim Edmonds is the hitter. Scott Rowland is on deck. It's 2-1 Philadelphia, bottom of the 8th. Second and third, 1 out. Renteria at third, Pujols in second. And left-hander Real Cormier, originally a Cardinal, drafted and came up through the minors, made his major league debut with St. Louis. He's also pitched for Montreal, where Joe Kerrigan was his pitching coach. For Boston, where Joe Kerrigan was his pitching coach, and now for Philadelphia, where Joe Kerrigan is his pitching coach. So they've got a lengthy relationship, as do Cormier and Edmonds. They have seen each other on numerous occasions. Edmonds is 1 for 3 today. .282, 4 homers on the season. The tying run is at third base. The go-ahead run is at second base, and the infield is in for the Philadelphia Phillies with 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. And some managers don't like to do it with the runners at second and third because if the ball gets through, 2 runs will score. But Larry Boa is bringing the infield in here in the 8th inning. Roberto Hernandez ready if needed, and needed could be next batter with Rolen on deck. The 0-1 way inside.
Well, if Cormier can get Edmonds, they may put Rolen on. May not even want to deal with him and make the young kid Porter come up with the big hit.
And then we could see Reggie Sanders grab a bat, and that might necessitate another pitching change. So the wheels are turning on both sides of the field right now. Larry Boa calm on the outside. Tony La Russa, expression never changes a whole lot for him in the dugout. Second and third, 1 out. 1-1 pitch swung on and missed. A ball and 2 strikes on Jim Edmonds. Cardinals have certainly had their chances today. The leadoff man on in the first and second. Ran themselves out of an inning in the third. Double play in the fourth. Left the bases loaded in the 7th. Out hitting the Phillies 9-4, but trailing 2-1. And the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, and Cormier strikes Edmonds out for the 2nd out of the inning.
Now, Real Cormier has one of the best 2-seam fastballs. That's the best pitch that he saw his whole at bat. But then you see him, he starts doing that 2-seamer, trying to get inside on Edmonds. Has a lot of movement on it, and Edmonds was just swinging right over it. All the rest of those pitches would not have been strikes.
And now they are going to put Rolen on. Major League leader in RBIs won't get a chance to add to his total. They'll load the bases. And Reggie Sanders is out in the on-deck circle now.
Tremendous job by Cormier right there.
So far, both managers have played the percentages here in this inning, and we'll see if that continues, which would mean Larry Boa would go to his bullpen to get Roberto Hernandez. Here's ball 4 to Rolen. Looks like he's ready as soon as Sanders is announced into the game. Tony La Russa trying to get the attention of Reggie Sanders. Sanders can't hear him. Sanders is announced. Here comes Larry Boa. There goes Cormier. Here comes Hernandez. We'll be back after this. Here at the ballpark today, had a great pitching matchup early. Kevin Millwood of Philadelphia got out of a bit of a jam in the first, striking out Edgar Renteria. Look at the breaking ball to get Colin Porter swinging it. It was 1-0 Cardinals until Jim Thome went deep. A mammoth 2-run shot in the 6th inning. Phillies 2, Cardinals 1. Phillies trying to add to their lead in the top of the 8th inning. Check out this collision at home plate. Mike Matheny standing his ground. Marlon Byrd is out. Now the Cardinals with a great chance, but Jim Edmonds strikes out against Real Cormier. That leads to the intentional walk. Bases are loaded now, 2 outs as we check out the Sony game track here in St. Louis. 2-1 the Phillies lead despite being out hit 9-4. Millwood and Carpenter both were terrific. The Thome home run is the difference. The Cardinals are threatening. Bases loaded, but there are 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th inning as right-hander Roberto Hernandez comes in. The 3rd pitcher to work here in the 8th inning for Philadelphia. His 11th appearance of the season, and he will face a pinch hitter in Reggie Sanders, who's off to a terrific start this year, hitting over 300 with 7 home runs already.
And no place to put him either. Roberto Hernandez is primarily fastball split finger, but in order to get to that split finger, you gotta get strikes here. You can't mess around and get behind, because then you'll have to come with the fastball. And the way Reggie Sanders has started this season, the way he's swinging the bat.
Renteria, Pujols, and Rolen on base for the Cardinals. And the first pitch swung on and hit to deep right center field. Extra bases. And he will clear the bases as Sanders is on his way to third base and in there.
Tremendous swing by Reggie Sanders. Understanding that there's no place to put him. He knows Roberto Hernandez is a fastball split finger pitcher. But he can't mess around with the split finger early in the count, because if Reggie doesn't swing at it, then he's pitching behind in the count. So he knows he must get that first pitch fastball for a strike before he can even get to the split finger. Reggie Sanders did not allow him to even get in that position. Knowing there's nowhere to put him, throws the first pitch fastball, and Reggie Sanders is not waiting around.
Crushed that ball to right center. A 3-run triple for Reggie Sanders. He's now got 21 RBIs. And the Cardinals have a 4-2 lead now. Reggie Sanders said before the game he hopes he's found a home here in St. Louis. 7 teams in 7 years. But he signed a 2-year deal with St. Louis, and he is still getting it done.
See, when you load the bases, and you see Larry Boyd looking at the result of that move. But when you load the bases, now you're putting the pressure on your pitcher that he has to get ahead of that next batter, because you don't want to be pitching behind. But when you got a pitcher who's primarily fastball split finger, he's a 2-pitch pitcher. But he has to get in a position where he can allow that split finger to work for him. And the only way to do that is you got to get ahead of the count. And primarily for him, it's going to be with that fastball. If he would have got 0-1, now he can work the split finger. But you got to get to that first pitch strike. And Reggie Sanders didn't allow it. Took the first pitch fastball and drove it.
Great swing on the ball. 3-run triple for Sanders. So now in his career against Hernandez, he's 3 for 5 with a double, a triple, and a homer. And now Jason Isringhausen is the closer we're going to focus on. Thought we might be looking at a Billy Wagner, but Larry Boa, he had the guys out there he wanted to have out there. Tim Worrell, but he gave up a couple of hits and a couple of runs. Real Cormier, he didn't do anything wrong. Struck out Jim Edmonds, then the intentional walk to Roland. And then Hernandez comes in, and on the first pitch he throws, gives up the triple. And the Cardinals, just like that, now have an opportunity to avoid the sweep here against the Phillies. Mike Matheny is 1 for 2, also has a sacrifice. You saw the collision at home plate an inning or so ago between Matheny and Marlon Byrd. Yes, he went around and he's gone to end the inning. But the damage already done if you're a Phillies fan. The pinch hit. 3-run triple by Reggie Sanders. Cardinals will take a 2-run lead to the 9th.
Well, what a tremendous turnaround here. Reggie Sanders has now moved into right field, came in with a tremendous 3-run triple. And now we can take a look at Jason Isringhausen.
10th appearance of the season for Isringhausen. A couple of saves. Cardinals have been scoring so many runs that when they win them, they usually win them big, and they don't need their closer, but they're going to need him here today. But what a turnaround. What a dramatic swing of the bat by Reggie Sanders in the bottom of the 8th. You could kind of see the inning developing, the moves coming as each manager would make his move, and you could sense it would come down to Roberto Hernandez and Reggie Sanders, and Reggie Sanders won the battle. Now Pat Burrell will lead off the 9th inning for the Phillies. 0 for 2, hit by a pitch today. Got to be disheartening, and this one's not over yet, but I'm sure as a ball player, a lot of times that last game of the road trip, you think you've got it won, and all of a sudden the other team snatches it away from you. You've got to get on the airplane, a long trip home. That's got to be a pretty quiet plane ride, I would think. Have an eye here, DJ. There you go. What are you shying away from a baseball for? You're a ball player. Reach out there and make a play on that ball.
I don't have a glove on. I'm not reaching out there for anything.
Your main duty is to protect Mr. Pasquarelli and myself.
My main duty, I was going to protect you had it been coming toward us.
All right. I thought you'd reach or, show some of that old flair.
Show some range.
Yeah, here's the 0-2, and that one's fouled back beneath us.
But it has to be very frustrating for Larry Boa and the Phillies, because these are the guys that you're relying on to get for the 8th and 7th and 8th inning to turn it over to Billy Wagner. So I know it's very frustrating today for Larry Boa with the way things just turned out in that 8th inning.
4-2 St. Louis leading. 9th inning here at Busch Stadium. Breaking ball down and away from Isringhausen. Not a whole lot Billy Wagner can do. He was never called upon. Never got up to throw. They were saving him for the 9th inning. He did get a save in last night's game. And again, when you go out and get guys like Roberto Hernandez, like Tim Worrell, as Burrell is called out on strikes, I mean, those are the guys you got to give the ball to in the 8th inning. That's their job.
And it wasn't like it was an easy situation for Roberto Hernandez to come in with the bases loaded.
Yeah.
You see the fastball on the inside part of the plate. I mean, Isringhausen is another one of the good closers in the game of baseball today. I mean, a big breaking ball, still throws the ball hard. He can get up to 95 miles an hour.
And all kinds of arm problems a couple of years ago, but seems to be past all that as the pitch comes inside on David Bell.
And he was the guy who came up with the Mets back in the early 90s, who at one point was a starter. Like you said, he had the arm problems, but he was part of it. As we were talking about Chris Carpenter, and we were talking about Halliday and the guys. It was him and a guy, Bill Pulsifer. Then another guy there who was going to be the big three.
Paul Wilson.
But yeah, exactly. Paul Wilson that was going to be the big three for the Mets. But sometimes injuries have a way of curtailing all the plans.
But Isringhausen has, over the years, reinvented himself as one of the better closers in the game when healthy. Reggie Sanders looking on from right field. 1-2 now, the count on David Bell. Just think of the momentum this will give the Cardinals if they can win this game, heading into a big early season 4-game series against the Chicago Cubs, who will be here tomorrow night. And the Cubs are going to send Kerry Wood to the mound for game 1 tomorrow night. Which is up and in 2-2. You can see the Cubs right now the leaders in the National League Centrals. They track the division standings here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. I mean, things are tightly congested and it's very early, but St. Louis wants to move a couple of rungs up that ladder. Full count. Kerry Wood facing a 5-game suspension for his behavior last week. That'll happen at some point or another, so it'll cost him a start, or at least make him delay a start at one point or another. The 3-2 to Bell. And a swing and a line over to left field will get down for a base hit. And now the tying run will come to the plate. And Tomas Perez has been called back. And I'm guessing that's Ricky Leday, and it is. Ricky Leday is going to pinch hit for the Philadelphia Phillies. He had a big pinch hit home run against the Marlins in a game that we did last week.
One of the toughest jobs in the game is pinch hitting, especially late in the game, because you're always facing other team's closer. You've been sitting over there for eight innings. When normally guys that know they may pinch hit, they start getting loose around the 5th inning. They go inside, they stretch, may get on if there's a treadmill available, get on there, jog a little bit, just get the body loose. Stadiums nowadays too, they have like little batting cages, areas where you can actually hit off the tee. So guys are not just coming straight off the bench and hitting. I mean, they've loosened themselves up, and but it's very tough coming off the bench, especially when you're facing other teams closer.
Reggie Sanders came off the bench with that pinch hit, bases clearing triple, the biggest hit of the game right now. Now Ricky Leday, who hit a pinch hit home run against the Marlins last week. If he can do it again here, he'll tie this one up. 0 for 4 lifetime against Isringhausen. Ricky Leday in his career has 7 pinch hit home runs, 6 of them as a Philly. So he has adjusted to this role and has done very well. Big swing and a foul tip there, and it's 1-1. Leday is batting in the 7th spot, so if you're a Phillies fan hoping that Jim Thome's turn is going to come up this inning, that's not going to happen. It's going to have to be somebody down near the bottom of the order to get it done. And he might have gotten it done. Hits it a ton to right field, and we're tied. Ricky Leday's 2nd pinch hit home run in a week, and the Phillies have tied it here in the 9th.
Well, he gets a hanging breaking ball from Isringhausen, and he just doesn't miss it. I'm just amazed at how well he swings the bat as a pinch hitter. You would think he would get a chance to at least get some at-bats during the week the way this guy was a pinch hitter. Let's get him in the lineup some kind of way.
And Tomas Perez, who's the guy that Leday pinch hit for, the first guy out of the dugout to congratulate him. You're right, that was a bit of a hanger, and Leday was all over it. We are tied at 4 in the 9th inning. A blown save by Jason Isringhausen. And now Mike Lieberthal is batting for Todd Pratt.
You see, what it shows you, though, is Isringhausen is an outstanding pitcher. So is Roberto Hernandez. But if you don't locate your pitches, then you can become a very average pitcher for that at-bat. As we've seen earlier in this game with Millwood and Carpenter, both guys did an outstanding job of locating their pitches. But when you don't locate, I don't care who you are, you will get hit hard, as we have witnessed with Roberto Hernandez and Isringhausen in this inning.
1-2 now on Lieberthal. You saw Amori Telemaco and Billy Wagner throwing for the Phillies. Presumably, if the game stays tied, Telemaco comes in. If the Phillies can take the lead here in the top of the 9th inning, then Wagner comes in. Leday has done his job. Outside, 2-2 now on Lieberthal. Eighth career pinch hit home run, 7th as a Philly for Ricky Leday. And a broken bat ground ball to Pujols at first. Out number 2. Isringhausen, David, the last 2 years combined had only given up 2 homers. This is the 2nd home run he's given up already this year.
And he knew it, too. I mean, he knew it was a hanging breaking ball. And, you know, as a pitcher, you throw a hanging breaking ball, you pray they just foul it back, you know, or miss it or take it. But he didn't miss it. And like I said, I mean, Leday, we saw it last week.
Yep.
I mean, let's get him some more at-bats.
Yeah, seriously.
Let's stop hiding him on the bench. Let's get him in the lineup.
You got other guys struggling. This guy's not struggling.
So let's find a way to get him more at-bats the way he swings the bat coming off the bench.
Leday is now 8 for 19 on the season. Here's Placido Polanco, the former Cardinal, who was one of the players who went to Philadelphia in the Scott Rowland deal. As a pinch hitter now, Leday 5 for 14, 2 home runs this year. 2 outs, nobody on here in the 9th, and a tie game, 4-4. You may be able to hear some of the construction sounds that are going on beyond the right field wall here in St. Louis as they make more progress on the new ballpark. Here's a 1-1. Check swing, and it's outside, ball 2. It was scoreless through 5. And then a 2-1 lead. A 3-run triple by Sanders to make it 4-2, bottom of the 8th. And then the dramatic game-tying home run by Ricky Leday off Jason Isringhausen here in the 9th. And Reggie Sanders did all he can do, but to this point, it's not enough to secure a victory. The 3-1 on the outside corner, a full count on Polanco. Will it be Wagner or will it be Telemaco? That appears to depend on whether or not the Phillies can take the lead here in the top of the 9th inning. The 3-2 and a foul off right side. To say the least, this weekday crowd of almost 30,000 has been stunned into silence here in the 9th inning by that home run. Cardinal players look much the same. The Phillies have won each of the first 2 games of this series. That'll be out of play again. Activity now in the Cardinal pen. Steve Klein has started to throw. And a fly ball into center field, right at Edmonds, inning over. But a dramatic inning it is. Ricky Leday's 8th career pinch hit home run on Jason Isringhausen ties the game at 4 going to the bottom of the 9th. Larry Boa almost looks like he's smiling a little bit over in that Phillies dugout, and why not? Ricky Leday, another dramatic home run to tie the game here. Last night, more dramatics in the 9th inning as the Phillies scored 3 runs. Called safe at the plate in a very close play is Marlon Byrd, and you can argue that one either way. That's how close it was. Jim Thome would add a 2-run single as the Phillies score 3 runs in the 9th inning, beat the Cardinals 6-3, beat them on Tuesday night 7-3. They were down 4-2 9th inning here today before the home run by Leday tied it, as St. Louis continues to struggle here at home. Just a 3-9 record here at Busch Stadium, but they can still pull this one out if they can scratch across a run here in the bottom of the 9th against right-hander Amaury Telemaco, who becomes the 5th pitcher of the day for the Philadelphia Phillies. Ray Lankford will lead it off for St. Louis. Tony Womack is out in the on-deck circle in the pitcher's spot. Lankford takes down an in-ball 1. Mike Lieberthal stays in the game behind the plate. And Polanco stays in the game out at second base. Lankford, very good numbers against Telemaco. 4 for 7 with a homer. Big swing and a miss at a breaking ball. 1-1. Well, we have had a lot of intrigue here in the last couple of innings as at various times it looked like each team basically had it wrapped up.
So I got to give both teams a lot of credit for battling back. You saw the momentum change one way, then change another way. And I'm just amazed that Ricky Leday doesn't get more playing time.
Just 19 at bats all season, and 14 of them are as a pinch hitter. One and 2 on Lankford, leading off the bottom of the 9th. Got some finals today from around baseball as we check the out-of-town scoreboard here at Busch Stadium. Houston over Pittsburgh 2-0. Anaheim leading Detroit 11-3. Boston over Tampa Bay 4-0 in the 7th inning. Pitch is outside to Lankford. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Womack is on deck, and then it'll go back to the top of the order for Marlon Anderson. Very dangerous team, these St. Louis Cardinals offensively. A lot of guys who can hurt you. Lankford doesn't right here, out in front of that, and he strikes out against Telemaco. 1 down. We have had quite the twists and turns here at Busch Stadium today. Dan Shulman, David Justice, Kyle Peterson with you on the ESPN day game. Cardinals got a run in the bottom of the 5th. And then the Phillies with 2 in the top of the 6th on a Jim Thome home run. A pinch hit 3-run triple for Reggie Sanders in the bottom of the 8th made it 4-2 St. Louis. But then Ricky Leday with a pinch hit 2-run homer off Jason Isringhausen with 1 out in the 9th to tie it. And now we're in the bottom of the 9th, tied at 4. And here is Tony Womack, just back. This is his first appearance after missing a week with a triceps injury. He's probably not thrilled about having to come back against Telemaco, giving those numbers. But Womack could have been a real spark for the Cardinals until he got hurt.
But he's also a guy that gets on. He has some speed. He can steal a base and get into scoring position.
Both teams going heavily through their benches and bullpens last couple of innings, especially the Phillies. As Womack pops one up, Thome in foul territory makes the grab for out number 2.
And, you know, you do sense a lot of energy is gone from this stadium.
Yep.
It's like everyone's so quiet, like they're still stunned that that they didn't win this game already. That they're still actually sitting in their seats and not celebrating or on their way home.
Got a lead to the 9th inning, a 2-run lead at that. Had their closer on the mound. And And then Ricky Leday changed everything. 2 outs, nobody on in the bottom of the 9th. Back to the top of the order for Marlon Anderson, the former Philly, who is 2 for 4 today and has his average up to .339. And this is a guy with some power. He's got 4 home runs already this year. In on the grass at third, David Bell. And the 0-1 from Telemaco misses, a ball and a strike. This is as quiet as I've ever heard this stadium. 1-2.
You know, you talk about this defense up the middle with Renteria and Anderson and Edmonds. I was talking to Renteria before the game, and he was saying how a lot of communication needs to go on between the shortstop and the second baseman. So much activity in that area. He said he has great communication with Anderson. Anderson has unbelievable range. He made a tremendous play last night on a ball that was almost in left field to throw back across.
Yeah, he did. Here's a 1-2. Way up and away. Tied at 4, bottom of the 9th inning here in St. Louis. And the 2-2 pitch swung on and missed. That's all for Anderson and the Cardinals. And we will head to extra innings here at Busch Stadium. Well, all kinds of dramatic moments here in the late stages today. It was 2-1 Phillies when Reggie Sanders came up as a pinch hitter against Roberto Hernandez. First pitch that he saw, a bases clearing triple. That made it 4-2 St. Louis going to the 9th. It's all wrapped up, right? Wrong. Pinch hit 2-run homer by Ricky Leday off Jason Isringhausen. Tied the game at 4. Larry Boa is pumped about that. 8th career pinch hit home run for Ricky Leday. Both teams giving away the lead late in today's game. And we now move to the top of the 10th, tied at 4. With David Justice and Kyle Peterson, I'm Dan Schulman. This is the ESPN Day Game from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Top of the order for the Phillies, Marlon Byrd. He is 1 for 4. He'll be followed by Jimmy Rollins and Bobby Abreu. And a new pitcher on for the Cardinals, left-hander Steve Klein, who worked a third of an inning in last night's game and gave up a base hit. Klein is in there because of those dangerous left-handed batters who are lurking. Abreu due up third, and then Jim Thome due up fourth should it get that far here this inning. 2-2 the count on Byrd, facing one of the workhorses in baseball. Like a lot of situational lefties, you can count on Klein for about 80 appearances a year after year. The 2-2 swing and a miss. Byrd is gone, 1 down.
Well, he gets a pitch low and in here, and you can see it dropping on, just swung right over it. Even he thought he was going to make contact on that one. Look at that hat by Klein. I think he's just proud to have the dirtiest hat in the game.
He's a fun guy to sit down and talk baseball
with,
great.
Too.
He's great. Entertaining.
He's great to talk to, but I still wouldn't wear that hat.
Here's Jimmy Rollins, 1 for 3. Also has a sacrifice today. In on the corners against Rollins, who looks at a strike. And Klein misses outside. 2 balls and a strike. Reggie Sanders, Ricky Leday, the hitting stars here today, both in a pinch hitting capacity. Roberto Hernandez and Jason Isringhausen giving up the hits. Somewhat forgotten now are the outstanding performances by the 2 starting pitchers, Kevin Millwood and Chris Carpenter. he loses Rollins, and it puts him on ahead of the big lumber. Now don't forget, the Stanley Cup playoffs continue tonight. More conference semifinal action. It begins tonight at 7 Eastern right here on ESPN. The Lightning trying to finish off the Canadians, leading that best of 7, 3 games to none. And then at 10 Eastern over on ESPN2, the upset-minded Calgary Flames host the Detroit Red Wings again. The Flames with a 2-1 lead on the Red Wings in their best of 7. Stanley Cup playoff action on both networks tonight. Steve Klein, a Pennsylvania native, talking a little Flyers hockey in the clubhouse before the game. Flyers leading the Maple Leafs 2-1. That series will continue tomorrow night. And a big conference out of the mound talking about their strategy against Abreu and then Thome. And remember that Thome has already homered in this game, and that Thome has 14 career home runs against the Cardinals and 66 career at bats. So anything short of a double play ball, anything short of the inning ending right here, and there are going to be some nervous moments for the Cardinals with Thome coming up.
Now, Philadelphia has not been very aggressive in terms of trying to steal bases this year. A lot of it is because, you know, Bird and Rollins have not been getting on base. But here's a guy, Rollins, has a lot of speed over there. I mean, he has the franchise record, 35 consecutive stolen bases without being thrown out. That's why they want him at the top of that lineup, to get on with those type of numbers. He's a guy who can make a lot of things happen.
But you're right when you say they're just not running. They've only attempted 6 steals on the season, tied for the fewest in the majors.
Well, he didn't pick off Jimmy Rollins, but he almost picked off Albert Pujols on that play.
Runner at first. 1 out, top of the 10th. Phillies 4, Cardinals 4. That time Rollins has to dive back into the bag. Rollins without a steal so far this season. Abreu 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts today. Thome is on deck. The runner not going, and the pitch is fouled off, and it's 0-2.
See, Steve Klein is doing a good job of keeping Jimmy Rollins on his heels over there. You know, he stepped off, threw over, he's thrown over, he's taking his time. He's not allowing Jimmy Rollins to get comfortable in terms of counting 1-1,000, 2-1,000. Sometimes pitchers, you can almost time them 1-1,000, 2-1,000 before they deliver. So what you do as a pitcher, especially guys that are fast, just hold the ball a little longer. Or try to get them on their heels a little bit.
Runner goes. Pitch taken and bobbled by Matheny. And there's a stolen base for Rollins. A 1-2 count now on Abreu. And the go-ahead run in scoring position.
As you can see here, I mean, he's extremely fast. A guy that they really want to take over that leadoff spot. I mean, because of that speed. I mean, right here, he gets a walk in this inning. Now he steals a bag. Now he's in scoring position. And the way that these guys can hit in the meat of this lineup, well, it's so very important for this team to get Jimmy Rollins going at the top of this lineup, or even Marlon Bird. Both of them could do the job.
And Abreu, now they got to complete the throw down to first base as Matheny never applied the tag. But Abreu strikes out for the 2nd out of the inning, and now with the base open, Thome will come up. And now again, decisions. As we go back to the 6th inning when Jim Thome launched one better than 400 feet over the bullpen to deep right.
And really the only mistake that Chris Carpenter made all day was that particular pitch. I mean, what an outstanding outing for Chris Carpenter, and something to build on, or continue to build on.
And now the intentional walk being issued to Thome. So they're going to put him on. Pat Burrell is the on-deck hitter. Big, strong right-handed batter, and that means we would assume that right-hander Julian Tavares will come into the game now for the Cardinals. Cardinals don't want anything to do with Jim Thome, and who can blame him? And here comes Tony La Russa. So we will go to the bullpen again here in St. Louis. 2 on, 2 out, tie game. Julian Tavares coming into the game. Moments ago, the Phillies asked the umpires to go out and check his cap to make sure he doesn't have any foreign substances on there. That can affect the flight of the baseball. Everything checks out okay as they try to get under Tavares' skin a little bit. 2 on, 2 out, tie game, top of the 10th. Tavares faced one batter in last night's game, and it was Pat Burrell, the guy he's going to face right now, and he struck Burrell out. A well-traveled pitcher, 6th team in 6 years for Tavares. Burrell is 0 for 3 with a walk today. Extensive experience against Tavares, who was a starter a couple of years ago with Florida, started the year before that with the Cubs. Burrell's got 5 RBIs already in this series, but has had a quiet day at the plate here today. And a step off by Tavares, looking Jimmy Rollins back to second base. Rollins with a great speed, itching to score the go-ahead run here on a base hit, and out of the mound goes Mike Matheny as Jim Thome looks it over from first base. He was given the intentional walk.
Now see, this is a situation where Matheny and Tavares may be thinking that Rollins is relaying signs. So now they're getting on the same page. They may change up 1 or 2 things in their signs just in case, because you never know, you know, if Rollins has the signs or not.
Tavares ready, in the first pitch to Burrell. This is up and away, ball 1.
See, one thing about Pat Burrell this year is much more patient at the plate. And last year he swung a lot of curveballs in the dirt, actually a lot of pitches out of the strike zone, and that just put himself in bad situations, tough situations to hit. He never could recover. This year he's been a lot more patient.
Lays off a pitch just outside there, illustrating your point, and it's 2-0.
You see now, as he continues to lay off pitches like that close to the strike zone, then he'll start to get better pitches to hit. Because I don't care who you are, if you chase pitches out of the strike zone, you're not going to hit. All your best hitters, the reason why they're such good hitters, because they wait pitchers out and they wait till they get good pitches to hit.
There's a strike, 2-1.
And see, even that pitch there, this is not a pitch that you really want. You know, it's down around your knees, outside part of the plate. Not a pitch you can do much with. You're 2-0. If it's not your pitch, take it. You're still in the at-bat. You're only 2-1.
First and second, 2 down. Tie game in the top of the 10th inning. And the 2-1 pitch. Tried to check the swing, but it couldn't. Committed to it before he picked up that it was a breaking ball, and it's 2-2.
You're right. Now, see, here's a situation where you can see he's looking for a fastball. But see, the only thing I don't like about that is he looked like he was looking for a fastball to pull, because he didn't even give himself a chance to let this ball even travel. See, he's a young kid, you know, and he's still maturing, but he still needs to continue to try to get good pitches to hit. It's going to be so important for him as he matures, and the only way to mature is continuing to learn the strike zone. This guy has as much physical ability, as much raw power as anybody there is. And he's playing on a team with 2 very patient guys he can learn a lot from in Abreu and Thome.
Runners will be on the move. 2 on, 2 out, and a full count on Burrell, trying to break the tie here in the 10th inning. The 3-2 pitch. Swung on and popped up out of play right side. Steve Klein goes 2/3 of an inning, walks 2 batters, one of them intentional, strikes out 2 batters, and leaves this situation here for Tavares. We've now had 5 pitchers for each team in this game. Again, the 3-2. And a swing and a fly ball toward the right field corner. Reggie Sanders over to make the catch and end the inning. The Phillies lead 2 men on. The Cardinals will come up. Albert Pujols will bat this inning. We've had all kinds of goings on here between the inning. Right now, a bat is being checked by the umpires, so do we assume this is Tony La Russa's response to Larry Boa asking for Julian Tavares' cap to be checked, and that bat has been taken out of play, and we will assume that that is Pat Burrell's bat. Although we will try to check on that. Meanwhile, between innings also, Julian Tavares approached Pat Burrell after the flyout to end the inning. Ostensibly, we would assume to talk about them checking his cap, and Pat Burrell says, I didn't even know about it. Pat Burrell didn't know what was going on. It came from the dugout, Larry Boa, but Julian Tavares got extremely agitated about this, and eventually a couple of his teammates kind of had to usher him away from Burrell off the field. And then Tony La Russa responds by having a Philadelphia bat checked. Bottom of the 10th, tied at 4. Edgar Renteria takes a strike, and we go to Kyle Peterson.
That guy's directly after that pitch. You saw Tony La Russa make a beeline out there, so it sounded like possibly this was something they were potentially planning on doing if the situation arose throughout the game. But they knew there was one thing they were looking for. Tony La Russa went out. They were able to get the bat, and as you saw, that bat is now out of the ball game. And Pat Burrell will have to pick another one if he comes back up later.
Broken bat, base hit for Renteria.
See, sometimes one of the signs of a corked bat is the very top of it, and we could see the umpires looking at the top of the bat. Actually, not that part of the bat, but actually the very top of it. Sometimes you can see like a little small like indentation of like a hole there. And what I've seen in the past is guys who have corked bats will try to dirty that area up, you know, to try to camouflage it. But Pat Burrell wasn't throwing any balls in the outfield. He was definitely looking into the infield intently at the umpires to see what they were doing.
And number 5 is Pat Burrell, so it was a Burrell bat they were checking. So the Phillies check Tavares' cap, and then the Cardinals check Burrell's bat. Meanwhile, Albert Pujols is the batter. The winning run is at first base here in the bottom of the 10th. Pujols is 1 for 4, doubled and scored in the 8th inning. Burrell doesn't seem too flustered by the whole thing. Tavares certainly did, as he made a beeline for Burrell at first base. He was awfully upset about that. And I would assume one of the reasons why the Phillies may have checked his cap, maybe they didn't think they were going to find anything, but maybe they knew they could get under his skin.
Or maybe last night his pitches had so much movement on it,
right,
they thought there's no way that could be natural.
Good breaking ball there from Telemaco, and it is 0-2 on Albert Pujols. As mentioned off the top of the show and again during the game, the Phillies seem to have a pretty good idea about how to pitch Albert Pujols, whereas nobody else does. They've kept him in the park through 79 at bats.
Yeah, but what's funny about that stat is we say he struggles against Phillies. He's almost 280.
Because he's human. He's a mere human against the Phillies. Rips it foul into the seats down the left field line.
He hits everything hard. Even his outs are hard.
And he's just 24. 4th year in the majors. He's won a batting title. He won the Players' Choice Player of the Year last year in the baseball, as voted upon by his peers. He was the runner-up to Barry Bonds for the MVP, which is voted upon by the writers, but by his peers, he was voted the Player of the Year in all of baseball.
Like we were talking earlier, here's a guy who has tremendous work ethic. All the guys on the team love him. He's the face of the Cardinals now. When you're making a draft, when you're drafting, you're developing in the minor leagues. He is the guy that you want your young players in the minor leagues to emulate.
Telemaco out in front, no balls, 2 strikes. And a ground ball down to third. And the Phillies turn the double play.
And the Phillies breathe a sigh of relief.
Yes, they do. Although it doesn't get a whole lot easier, because here comes Jim Edmonds. Pitch down, maybe a little bit in.
Yeah, but 2 strikes you have to protect.
Yep.
And this pitch like it was running down and in, and he got on top of it, and there's not a guy who's very fast. And the way this Phillies team turns those double plays, it's just hard to beat it out.
Good numbers for Edmonds in his career against Telemaco. Edmonds today 1 for 4. Singled back in the 4th inning. Phillies and Cardinals will meet again next week in Philadelphia. Should be an interesting series given the way that this one is wrapping up here today. 0-2. That was the home run cut there by Edmonds, who looked like he was kind of wringing out that right hand of his after that swing. Lays off the changeup, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Cardinals got 3 off the bat of Reggie Sanders. The pinch hit 3-run triple in the bottom of the 8th to take a 4-2 lead, and then Ricky Leday's pinch hit home run off Jason Isringhausen in the top of the 9th tied it. Sanders a couple of spots away should the inning get that far. It won't. Edmonds strikes out, and we will go to the 11th. Phillies and Cardinals are tied at 4 in Busch Stadium after that strikeout by Telemaco. Tied at 4, top of the 11th. Pat Burrell smirking a little bit, saying, I don't know why he took my bat, but he doesn't seem too bothered to buy the whole thing. They've checked his bat. They've checked Julian Tavares' cap. There's a little gamesmanship between the two sides. And we move on to the 11th as we remind you about Sunday Night Baseball right here on ESPN for the ballpark in Arlington. Manny Ramirez of the Boston Red Sox off to a great start this year. On the way to another win, it looks like today over Tampa Bay. It'll be Tim Wakefield and his dancing knuckleball taking on R.A. Dickey, the starting pitcher for the Texas Rangers. It all begins with baseball tonight at 7 Eastern. A look at the start that Manny is off to this year for the Red Sox. David Bell leads off the 11th inning for the Phillies, and he goes around, says Paul Nauert down at first base. Tied at 4. After Bell, the pitcher Telemaco is due up next, and he is in the on-deck circle right now. Larry Boa is running out of options. Stung down to first, but right at Pujols for the first out. Hang with him if you're David Bell. And here comes Telemaco.
Just a missile right at him.
He looks pretty comfortable down there, doesn't he?
Oh, I mean, he's fine down there at first base. But you just don't realize how hard those balls are coming in. Now, I came up, my first came to big leagues, I was playing first base in '89, and after playing one game in the minor leagues, and I was surprised at how fast those balls come. Just a routine ground ball was scaring the heck out of me.
So you got out to the outfield as soon as you could.
Praying that when they traded Del Murphy, I might have been the happiest man alive.
Telemaco getting a chance to hit. All Larry Boa has left in his bullpen is closer Billy Wagner and right-hander Ryan Madsen, who pitched 4 innings last night and got the win. So he can't go to Madsen, you would figure, and he doesn't want to go to Wagner at this point, not knowing how long this game could go. So Telemaco will get his first at bat of the season. Wagner saying, well, maybe I'll get in this game at some point. He'd love to.
Telemaco was throwing the ball well.
Yep. He's got a lot of experience as a starter, so he could be out there for a while. In his career, Telemaco is a .125 hitter, 112 at bats. Julian Tavares again seemed a little bit ruffled by that cap check that they gave to him last inning. He approached Pat Burrell after the inning, upset about it. There's a ground ball hit right at the shortstop Renteria to a knee to make the play, and on Pujols for out number 2.
But sometimes, I mean, Dan, you'll have guys with such great movement on their pitches. You like, there's no way that's natural.
Yep.
You've got to be doing something. Remember Oral Hershiser, we used to swear he had to be doing something. Well, I mean, a hot day, you wiping your hair, wiping underneath your hat, and he consistently did the same thing. And if you could have seen the way his ball was moving, we thought you got to be doing some cheating. So, I mean, it's understandable. I mean, the Phillies, they just want to check. And obviously, La Russa didn't want to be upstaged, so he made sure he checked Burrell's bat.
And Burrell's bat was taken out of play. Not that that means anything. That doesn't really suggest anything, but they did take that particular bat out of the game. 2 outs, nobody on, and the batter is Mike Lieberthal.
But they looked for a long time at that bat before they decided to take it away. So there had to be some type of physical evidence or something that did not look right on the top of that bat.
There it is right there. It's still sitting there.
But that's not the part they were looking at.
No.
They were looking at the other end of the bat.
Pass to diving Pujols into right field. A base hit for Lieberthal. Burrell, when we got that shot of him in the dugout, he was obviously talking to one of his teammates about the bat. He didn't seem too bothered by the whole situation. He seems pretty confident that there's nothing wrong with that bat. When you're a guy his size, I mean, like you said, he's a monster. He's a big guy. Whatever evidence there may be, there it is.
Yeah, but for them to take the bat away, there has to be something at the top of that bat to make them at least think that there may have been some tampering with it. Because if there's nothing at all at the top of the bat, you're not going to take it out of the game. You're just going to look at it and say, well, I don't see anything.
Here's Polanco. Runner at first, 2 down. Tie game in the top of the 11th in St. Louis as he takes it high, ball 1. Larry Boa and Joe Kerrigan, his pitching coach, talking about their options. Activity in the Phillies pen. Looks like that's Billy Wagner. Outside, ball 2. I like Sam Holbrook. I don't know if the folks at home can hear it, but we can hear it in our headset that he's not only saying ball or strike. If it's a ball, he's saying outside or inside or a little bit high. He's telling everybody right away where it was.
I think he's doing a great job back there. I mean, if the ball's a little bit off the plate, either in or out, it's a ball. He's not giving anything.
2-1. He's probably seen between at least 400 pitches today, I would think. And it's not like anybody's been yapping at him unhappy with his calls today, so that's a good sign.
Have you ever umpired?
Like not even Little League? No,
oh,
never.
My goodness.
Never.
I
it's a
put that
thankless
mask
job,
on, and I umpired one time. I had a whole new respect for umpires.
Parents getting on your case?
Got back there. Oh, I was terrible. I was calling everything out. Balls outside. I'm calling strikes.
That's a foul ball. 2-2. Was this a kid's game?
Yeah, it was a kid's game. Then I got scared to call anything. I just started mumbling back there.
I heard you just started running everybody. Every mom and dad who was on your case, you just ran them.
I just gave him that little sheepish look like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Were you still an active ball player when you did that?
No, it was like a little summer job type thing where they pay you a couple pennies to umpire, and I thought, it's got to be easy. It was tough.
They should make every player do that while he's a big leaguer. Maybe they'd come back the next year and treat umpires a little bit better.
Well, I'm still amazed at the flack that a lot of umpires take now. Because when I first broke in the league, you just couldn't get away with what you get away with now.
Outside, full count on Polanco.
When I first came into the league, if you even looked back at umpire, it's like the message would go around.
Yeah.
You see this is pitch outside, but it's a little bit outside. Peter Pasquarelli wanted the pitch, but it's a little bit outside.
Now Lieberthal will be on the move from first base. Pujols still on the bag right now. Runner goes, and the pitch lined out to second to end the inning. No runs, a base hit, and a man left. We'll go to the bottom of the 11th. Scott Rowland will lead it off for the Cardinals. We're tied at 4. We roll on into the bottom of the 11th inning here at Busch Stadium. Here on the ESPN day game, tied at 4, Phillies and Cardinals. And the major league leader in RBIs, Scott Rowland with 27, will lead off the inning for St. Louis. The Cardinal record holders for April RBIs. Rowland would need to get busy here in the next couple of days to threaten that record. Today he is singled, grounded into a double play, popped up, and then been intentionally walked. Reggie Sanders on deck, then Mike Matheny. Third inning of work for Amori Telemaco. And a big swing and a miss on the first pitch by Rowland. Larry Boa still looking over those possibilities. Who's left? There aren't many possibilities anymore. Just about everybody's been used. And a pop-up back out of play, and it's 0-2. Cardinals trying to avoid a sweep. Phillies trying to get to the 500 mark. Cardinals are also a game under the 500 mark. Phillies host Arizona over the weekend, and the Cardinals will host the Chicago Cubs for 4 beginning tomorrow night. Roland pulls it foul. Jose Akendo showing the good hands down the third baseline. And making a friend as well. Thank you, sir. Roland trying to do some damage against his former team. Reaches for it, and he's gone. Telemaco quickly becoming a big story here in this game. Well, let's find out more about Batgate. Pat Burrell's confiscated bat as we go down the field level on Kyle Peterson. Kyle?
Thanks, Dan. Home plate umpire Stan Holbrook said any time that the opposing manager asks that a bat get taken out of the game, they will take it out unless it's blatantly obvious there's nothing wrong with it. In this case, what they were looking at it so long is there's a sticker on the end of Burrell's bat, and they were looking at it because they couldn't tell what was underneath the sticker. The bat was going to come out regardless, but it definitely did pique their interest for a little bit longer. Guys?
All right, Kyle, thank you. And so Tony La Russa, I guess, got what he wanted, asking for the bat to be taken out of play in response to Larry Boa asking for Julian Tavares's cap to be checked for foreign substances when he came in. That is the end of the bat that was of interest to the umpires. Doesn't look like they're taking the bat too seriously, though. It's just still kind of sitting there, and people are looking at it. Burrow doesn't seem too concerned by it. Here's Reggie Sanders. Sanders with the pinch hit, bases clearing a triple in the bottom of the 8th inning that looked like it was going to hold up and be the winning hit here today until Ricky Leday tied it with a pinch hit 2-run homer off Jason Isringhausen in the top of the 9th. Those who are left in the ballpark trying to summon the energy for the Reggie chant, and here it goes. He has quickly become a fan favorite here in St. Louis. Bell, what a play. Terrific play at third by David Bell, ranging to his left, 2 down.
What a great play. Ranging to his left, this ball was actually almost by him. As you see right there, right to the side of him, almost by him. Great job of getting rid of it quickly. Speedy runner in Reggie Sanders. But yeah, this ball is almost by him.
So 2 down in the inning after that fine play by Bell, and now the batter will be Mike Matheny, who is 1 for 3. Never had a hit against Telemaco, who today has gone 2 2/3. He's given up 1 hit, and he has struck out 4. Got it all working right now.
Let's see, when you start getting to this point in the game, guys are actually starting to get tired. As soon as you start getting physically tired, now you're getting mentally tired. You'll see guys have a tendency to chase more pitches out of the strike zone because they're just not mentally as focused as they were, say, an hour and a half ago.
Poked into right center. That's a base hit. A 2-out single for Matheny. And Ray Langford will come up. Langford came on as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning and walked. He then struck out in the 9th. Yes, Ray is back after spending most of his career with St. Louis. Went to San Diego in a deal, did not play at all last season, got healthy, and now he is back with the Cardinals. And look at those numbers against Telemaco. Although it was against Telemaco that Langford struck out of the 9th inning here today. Runner at first, 2 down, tied at 4 in the bottom of the 11th, and he chased.
See, that's what I'm saying. Guys start to get fatigued, and you'll see them starting to chase pitches out of the strike zone because mentally they just don't have the focus they had an hour ago. You see this pitch. This is a bad pitch starting out as a slider low and in the dirt. And I know, I mean, I've played in many games like this where you just start to get tired.
Yep. Looked like he also might have done a little damage to his right hand. He continues to ring it out. Took the batting glove off.
I mean, you see it so many times where a game will go into extra innings, and from the 10th inning to the 15th inning, nothing happens. No hitting, no anything, because guys start getting fatigued. You know, the pitcher now, he's not tired. Telemaco's not tired. He's the freshest guy out there.
Yep.
But the guys have been playing the whole game. They're starting to get tired. It's somebody in each dugout saying, "Well, somebody please hit a home run. Let's just end this." They won't admit it, but it's somebody over there in both dugouts saying it.
0-2. Maybe that's why Leday's having so much success. He's coming into these games late, fresh. And has come up with a couple of huge pinch hit home runs in the last week for the Phillies. Here's the 0-2. Outside, a ball and 2 strikes on Langford.
When you start getting physically tired, now you lose a bit of bad speed. The legs are getting a little weary, and then there goes your focus. And you'll see from here until this game is over, you'll start to see guys start chasing pitches out of strike zone that they wouldn't normally chase.
2-2.
That's the pitch that Telemaco actually got him to strike out on the first time around, so I wouldn't doubt that Langford really remembered that, and this time definitely took it, but he got him to swing at the first time.
Hector Luna, a Rule 5 pickup for the Cardinals, out of the on-deck circle. In the pitcher's spot, and it's outside now. Ball 3, full count. So Matheny will be on the move from first. Mike Lincoln is warming up in the Cardinals pen should this game move on to the 12th inning. Thome moves off the bag now. And Matheny will be on the move. The 3-2 pitch swung on and missed. Langford is gone. 5th strikeout for Telemaco. We will go to the 12th. Still tied at 4, Phillies and Cards. Welcome back to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. This is the ESPN late afternoon game now. Dan Schulman, David Justice, and Kyle Peterson as we move to the 12th, tied at 4. Jim Thome hopeful of getting a chance to swing the bat here in the 12th inning. He is due up 4th. Marlon Byrd, Jimmy Rollins, Bobby Abreu, top third of the lineup. Julian Tavares back out for another inning for the Cardinals. Got the last out of the 10th. Gave up a base hit, but nothing further in the 11th. And the umpires look at his cap to make sure everything was okay. Overreacted a little bit to that. Got in the face of Pat Burrell. Led to the bat being checked. Everybody's happy. Everybody can move on, and we move into the 12th. And here is Byrd, 1 for 5. Had a double back in the 8th inning. Phillies trying to sweep this series here in St. Louis. And continue the Cardinals' misery here at home, where they're just 3-9 on the season.
And, you know, you can really see the movement on that Tavares pitch there. I mean, he's got a lot of movement, and as you can see, the top of his hat. They wanted to see if there was some type of greasy substance or something that was adding to that movement, because you see a guy with a sinker that moves so much, you think there's no way that can be natural.
And a foul back, and it's 0-2. Well, he goes to that cap after every pitch. What's on that hat? What is that? Same stuff Steve Klein looks like he has on his hat.
Yeah, I have no idea. But it's legal.
Yeah, the umps looked at it.
It's been checked. It's legal.
Way out in front of Marlon Byrd. No balls, 2 strikes. Wow. Just a little bit low. Again, Thome due up 4th this inning. He's already homered in this game. They intentionally walked him last time. They don't want to have to pitch to him, if at all possible, the way that he hits Cardinal pitching, the way he hits everybody's pitching. Line to third and right it rolling. 1 down. Tavares gave up a screaming liner to first. Last inning also 1 to second. 3 of the 5 outs he's gotten have been liners.
I mean, just right at him. Just get the glove up in time.
Rolling a 5-time Gold Glover makes the play. Now he comes in on the grass at third for Jimmy Rollins, who's 1 for 3 today. Also a sacrifice and a walk. And now Tavares wants to talk to Matheny. Matheny's had an interesting day. That collision at the plate. His bunt was in the mix of one of the Cardinal rallies. Trying to keep Tavares on the rails here in extra innings, catching Chris Carpenter, who had his best performance of the season. Lazy pop-up into shallow center. Edmonds in, 2 down. Don't forget, later on tonight, a couple of Stanley Cup playoff games coming your way on our family of networks. It begins right here on ESPN at 7 Eastern. From Montreal, where the Tampa Bay Lightning try to put away the Canadiens in 4 straight. Then later on tonight over on ESPN2 at 10 Eastern, the upstart Calgary Flames up 2-1 on the Red Wings will play Game 4 in that series. Who do you like?
We might as well do the game. Just a continuation.
Just keep going?
Just keep on going. I like whoever you like. Who do you like? No,
the team I like played last night.
Dude, you're borderline stalker when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Only in the playoffs.
I ignore them in the, I gotta watch
the
out
regular
for
season. Here's Abreu. You know, you talked to Gary Thorne, who you've worked with a lot and will work with again. I mean, it's one thing to here comes some rain into the picture right now. It's one thing to work a baseball game that goes 11, 12, 13. How about working a triple overtime hockey game? I wonder, Gary Thorne's he's probably gone quadruple overtime for all I know. I wonder what the longest game is that he's worked.
Tell you what, the few remaining fans that were sticking around to lend their support decided we're going to take it on in now that it's raining.
Bobby Abreu takes down an in-ball 2. Abreu career 8 for 20, 3 homers against Tavares. Somebody came prepared. This was something that we were told about at the beginning of the day. Could be a factor late afternoon. Didn't think they'd still be going late afternoon. Jim Thome is on deck, but 2 outs and nobody on. And the 2-1 to Abreu. Big swing and a miss, and he's out in front, 2-2. Whatever it takes, huh? It's not about fashion right now. It's about, does it work? They've got to talk it over again. We had better than 29,000 here at the outset of today's game. We don't have anywhere near that anymore. Length of the game and the weather. Cardinals trying to avoid a sweep and get back to the 500 mark. The 2-2 to Abreu, and he lays off outside, full count. Don't want to lose this guy with Jim Thome on deck.
Well, he got him to chase a changeup before that and figured he'd come back with it to see if he can get him to do it again, but not that time.
Wagner up again for the Phillies just in case. If they can take a lead, maybe he'll come in anyway, but probably just in case they take a lead. Here's the 3-2. And a swing and a ground ball, base hit into right field for Abreu. And Jim Thome's going to get a chance to hit.
See, that's one of the advantages of hitting in front of a guy like Jim Thome, a proven power hitter and a good hitter. As you know, 3-2, majority of times you're going to get a pitch to hit, a fastball. This pitch is actually out over the plate, outside corner. But second base was playing him up the middle a little bit, so he was able to get it through. But you know, hitting in front of Jim Thome, 3-2 count is a good chance. They don't want to walk you, especially in a situation like this, so you're going to get a good pitch to hit.
Well, any chance that, given the way that Thome has hit the Cardinals all the time, 14 home runs and 67 at bats, any chance that he gets the Barry Bonds treatment here, and even with no base open, do they put him on?
No, I definitely don't think. Here's the home run, and this is a bomb. Fastball out over the plate. Really the only mistake that Chris Carpenter made all day long. But you don't want to intentionally walk him because now you put, you know, the go-ahead run at second base. But then again, you do not want to make a mistake. So I would just try to pitch around the strike zone, and you may get him to chase a pitch out of the strike zone.
He's a pretty patient guy. Walks over 100 times a season. You saw his ridiculous career numbers against Cardinal pitching.
I mean, he's patient, but he's not perfect.
Right.
You know, and if you can get him to chase a pitch out of the strike zone because he wants to end it, or he feels like I want to take a little bit of pressure off of Pat Burrow who's hitting behind me. Because I've seen that before as a hitter, that when you know you're hitting well and the guy behind you may not have a lot of success against a guy, that in and of itself will sometimes make you expand your own strike zone.
Pops him up. Coming a long way in left field is Langford, dealing with the rain. He makes the catch and ends the inning. A runner stranded, and we go to the bottom of the 12th, tied at 4. Here's a recap of some of the goings-on here today. 1-0 St. Louis, 6th inning, when Jim Thome launches a home run, his 6th of the season, 2-run shot off Chris Carpenter. 2-1 Philadelphia. Phillies tried to add to their lead in the 8th inning with a runner at third. Ground ball to first. Pujols coming home. Look at that collision. Marlon Byrd and Mike Matheny, who hangs on to record the out. Pinch hit. Bases clearing triple by Reggie Sanders. Bottom of the 8th. Cardinals now lead 4-2. They're in great shape, right? Wrong. 9th inning. Jason Isringhausen on the mound, and he hangs one. Pinch hit, 2-run homer by Ricky Leday. Ties the game at 4. Larry Boa likes what he sees off the bat of Ricky Leday, and it is still tied at 4. Bottom of the 12th inning. Millwood and Carpenter terrific, but long gone in this one now, as Hector Luna comes up to bat for Julian Tavares. Luna is a Rule 5 player, so the Cardinals have to keep him on the active roster the entire season, or offer him back to his original club, the Cleveland Indians. Takes a strike, and it's 1-1. Luna hit .297 last year at Double-A, and hit a home run in his first major league at bat back on April the 8th. Cardinals would love to see him do that again here and end this ball game right now. 2-1.
We were talking about earlier Albert Pujols taking him underneath his wing. And as a veteran, although Albert's not a veteran yet, but he probably has veteran status with how well he has performed in his young career. But, you know, you always want to take a young kid in, because you remember when you were a rookie, and try to make it as comfortable as you can for him.
Pop up for Polanco for out number 1. Those of you tuning in here on ESPN for Around the Horn, you can see it on ESPN2. This is the ESPN day game, which has now moved into the bottom of the 12th inning.
Second baseman.
Even the bobblehead's run out of energy. He can't even bobble anymore.
You know, when rookies come to the big leagues, they may have 2 suits and 1 sport coat. So whenever we went to New York, there's a guy in New York that we would take him up there and get about 3-4 suits for the rookies. You know, you never make them pay for anything, but you always leave them with this. Now, kid, when you become a veteran, you make sure you do the same thing to the next rookie coming. Keep the cycle going.
Marlon Anderson, the batter. So does that mean the next time you and I do a game in New York, you're taking me out and buying me some clothes?
Well, since you've been in this industry longer than me, yes. I was trying to throw a little hint.
You're doing okay.
So, yeah, don't try to pull that prank on me again like the Maple Leafs game.
1-1 now, the count on Anderson. Early in the season still, just 21 games in, but a little bit of concern, I think, in both of these towns. Pretty good teams in both under 500 right now. There's a ton of baseball still to be played, obviously. 2-1, but pretty good things expected of both of these clubs, and they have both shown some warts along the way. The Cardinals have not played well at home. Pitching has been inconsistent. The Phillies have not been able to come up with the big hit when they've needed it the most, and have not been able to beat the Marlins, losing all 6 to Florida this year. Swing and a miss, 2-2 on Anderson.
And that changeup is really moving down and away from the left-handed hitters. You haven't seen one left-handed hitter take a great swing against that pitch.
This is Telemaco's 4th inning of relief. All he's given up is 1 base hit, 2 base hits rather. He's got 5 strikeouts. A little pop-up could be trouble. And it drops in. Anderson digging for second. The tag, safe at second. And we may have an argument here. Polanco is livid. And Larry Boa is not going to come out and protest the call.
I mean, this is a great slide. Right here to get that arm, get that left arm out the way. Exactly what he did. He took his left arm and moved it out the way and actually moved it over top of the glove. Ooh.
Wow, I don't know.
That's very close. Very close. I mean, obviously we got the replay. As you can see, Burrow trying to make a great play. Jimmy Rollins did a great job of backing up this play. Oh.
I mean, Anderson made a great slide and had the right idea, but I'm still not sure he beat it. But it's.
Well, I'm with you now. I definitely think he was out. Looking at that angle, he was out. But it's a bang play, and who knows, maybe a big play for the Cardinals.
Great opportunity for them to win it here in the bottom of the 12th. Edgar Renteria, the batter. He's got 2 hits and 5 at the bats today. As we mentioned earlier, although traditionally he's had some great clutch hitting numbers, this year that has not been the case. He is just 1 for 15 this season with runners in scoring position, but he can make everybody forget about that if he comes up with a base hit right here. Ground ball to the right side, and Polanco keeps it on the infield. Gets the out, runner to third with 2 down, but that is a potential game saver right there by Polanco.
And what you're seeing is some defense. That's what you're seeing. I mean, up the middle, this Philadelphia team with Jimmy Rollins and Placido Polanco, I mean, they're solid. And anytime you can throw out defensive plays like this, you're going to win, because it starts out with pitching, then defense, and then timely hitting. Now, we're not seeing a lot of timely hitting in this game at this point. We saw it earlier, but that defense is huge.
Now here comes Larry Boa for an Albert Pujols conversation. The winning run is at third with 2 outs in the bottom of the 12th. Pujols is up. Edmonds is on deck, and then Roland behind him. What would you do? Pitch carefully?
I mean, like I said, I mean, a tremendous hitter. You know, you pitch to him, but you don't pitch to him. You know, you see if you can throw a pitch up, elevate higher than high, and see if he'll pop it up. Throwing something down off the plate. But you know what? This is a tough situation for Telemaco, because they got Edmonds over there lurking, who is a solid hitter. I mean, he can hit. And then you got Roland, so it's like pick your poison.
That's right.
You know?
Maybe the best 3-4-5 in a baseball. Look at what Telemaco has done. But still, got to get out of this inning. Runner at third, 2 down. Pujols the batter, 1 for 5 today. Doubled and scored in the 8th inning. Telemaco working from the stretch. And the pitch is taken for ball 1. Telemaco got Pujols to ground into a 5-4-3 double play back in the 10th. Anderson is the runner at third. Very good speed. And good numbers for Pujols in limited advance against Telemaco. Ooh, what about that, David Justice?
Hey, I understand the attempt. You saw it in the playoffs last year when Ramon Hernandez won a ball game on a similar play. I mean, you got the third baseman way back. I mean, he's not a bunter, though. That's not what he does. And you saw he missed it. But had he got it down, he definitely would have been safe at first.
Well, that didn't scare Bell in at all. He's still way back at third. And a swing and a pop-up. Polanco calling for it. Makes the catch. They retire Pujols again, and Telemaco works another shutout inning. We go to the 13th here in St. Louis as the play out at second doesn't end up hurting the Phils. Back here in St. Louis, the Cardinal Hall of Fame just across the street from Busch Stadium. Probably doing some big business here today as people have been filing in and out of the ballpark all day, because we are on to the 13th inning. Of course, Mark McGwire prominently displayed in his great 1998 season. Yes, the 13th inning here on the ESPN day game. Mike Lincoln is the new pitcher now for the St. Louis Cardinals. He is the 6th pitcher of the game. Only Cal Eldred remains in the Cardinal bullpen right now. Pat Burrell's up there with a new bat after they confiscated the old one. That came on in the heels of the Phillies checking the cap of Julian Tavares for a foreign substance. So Tony La Russa retaliated by having Burrell's bat taken out of play. The new bat grounds one down to third. One down. Again, if you're tuning in here on ESPN for Around the Horn, it's over on ESPN2 right now. This is the ESPN day game for Busch Stadium in St. Louis with David Justice and Kyle Peterson. I'm Dan Schulman. Tied at 4, Phillies and Cardinals. It was Ricky Leday's pinch hit 2-run home run in the 9th off Jason Isringhausen that tied this game and sent it to extra innings. Here's David Bell.
As I said earlier, guys start to get tired. Pitchers can get away with more mistakes at this time of the game because guys start getting physically tired, and then they're mentally tired, and just the bat speed goes a little bit, and all it takes is just a little fraction of being off a little bit, and that turns a line drive base hit into a pop-up.
David Bell 1 for 5 today. You experiencing any broadcaster fatigue? This is the longest game you've ever broadcast.
I'm hanging. I'm hanging. You know, your enthusiasm is keeping me alive here.
This is about the time when everybody says to themselves, what time was my flight?
Yeah, but I know the feeling of these games. I'll tell you, I mean, you're over there, you're just tired, and I'm serious. Guys are thinking, would somebody please hit a home run? Somebody
on my team. Not
yeah, you're hoping somebody on your team hits a home run, but there's somebody in that dugout saying, I hope anybody hits a home run.
Like it's a spring training game? Does somebody end this game?
Absolutely. We'll make it up another time. They ain't gonna
You're shattering so many, you know, all these images that I have. Anybody win this game? We've just got to go?
162 games.
I guess so.
You got to lose 62. And that's a great team.
So one of them may as well come today, is what you're saying, if it gets us out of here.
Well, somebody's going to lose today. But it's somebody over there thinking.
Yes.
Yeah. So somebody's over there thinking, well, please. I bet it's probably a middle relief pitcher. It's probably one of them pitchers where it doesn't involve their stats. That's saying somebody please hit a home run.
Well, the good news is the rain has subsided. It was raining for about an inning. I think it was back in the 11th, but that's gone now. Could be Christmas time by the time this one winds up. The Cubs got here this morning, and they're starting a series with St. Louis tomorrow night. Cubs are laughing right now. Cardinals are using all their pitchers. Here's 1-2.
Oh, it's outside.
Outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes on David Bell.
You know, and then there is something to be said about momentum as well. I mean, for the Cardinals, if they were to lose this game, I mean, it's a tough loss anytime you lose a game that lasts this long. It seems like you're always more tired than the other team. Then you got a big series coming up this weekend.
Pop up into foul territory wide of third. Roll in there. 2 down. I think both of these teams have scuffled enough. They're not doing terribly, but have scuffled enough so far this season that it'll be kind of a demoralizing defeat for either team. For the Cardinals, if they lose, it'll mean they got swept.
And you never want to get swept. I mean, at least the Phillies can say they've won 2 out of 3 if they were to lose this ball game.
How many times does a relief pitcher get 2 at-bats in the same game? Telemaco, 1 hopper out to Renteria. Inning over. Let's go to the bottom of the 13th here at Busch Stadium as the Cardinals will come up with another chance to win it. Jim Edmonds will be the leadoff hitter for St. Louis when we come back. Here come the Cardinals for the bottom of the 13th inning. We're tied at 4. The Cardinals have out-hit the Phillies today 13-8. Had a good chance to win it last inning, but Albert Pujols was retired on a pop-up with a winning run at third base. And Amore Telemaco now works into his 5th inning of relief. 4 shutout innings, 3 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts here at what is now basically emptied out Busch Stadium. Most of the fans have gone home for dinner. Jim Edmonds will lead it off. Edmonds 1 for 5 today. Had a base hit in the 4th. He struck out 3 times, including once against Telemaco. Breaking ball over for a strike. Kevin Millwood and Chris Carpenter were the starters today. Both pitched very well for 7 innings. Jim Thome homered to give the Phillies a 2-1 lead in the 6th. Reggie Sanders, a pinch hit, bases loaded triple in the bottom of the 8th, made it 4-2 St. Louis. Top of the 9th, Ricky Leday hit a pinch hit 2-run homer off Jason Isringhausen to tie it. And it's been 4-4 ever since.
He gets a changeup, and he just doesn't even look comfortable at the plate right now.
He had a bit of a groin problem, caused him to come out of the game on Tuesday. Was wringing out his hand earlier here today after a swing. Uh-oh, he hits it way back right field. Ball game. On an 0-2 pitch, Jim Edmonds wins it for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 13th. Bunch of Cardinals as they avoid the sweep on an 0-2 pitch. Jim Edmonds lines one into the bullpen in right field for the home run that wins it.
It was just, he came back with the same pitch that Edmonds swung right through, but he didn't miss that one. And honestly, you don't ever see Edmonds hardly miss pitches up in the zone. He's a high fastball hitter, has always been that way. And we were making a comment that he just didn't look comfortable the way he swung through those high pitches, but he didn't miss that second one.
You got to feel a little bit for Amori Telemaco, who pitched great in relief, but ends up taking the loss on the home run by Jim Edmonds. The Cardinals took the lead in the bottom of the 8th, gave up the lead in the top of the 9th, and now they win it in the bottom of the 13th on the walk-off home run by Jim Edmonds on an 0-2 pitch.
See, as you see, the pitch is up in the zone. Came back with the same pitch that Edmonds had just swung through. He's been a high fastball hitter his whole career. And he gets one right up where he likes it, right around the chest area.
And he made no mistake to send the Cardinals home winners and to give them some momentum heading into their big early season series with the Chicago Cubs, a 4-game set that begins tomorrow night right here at Busch Stadium. Reggie Sanders, who gave the Cardinals a great opportunity to win it earlier, is pretty pumped about that ball getting over the wall in right field and ending this 13-inning ball game here in St. Louis today. Link in the win, Telemaco the loss, Kyle Peterson standing by with Jim Edmonds. Kyle?
Thanks, Dan. Jim, talk about that last at bat. He had you down 0-2, was probably trying to go down the zone, but he definitely didn't get out. Was it a fastball there?
You know what? I don't know. He threw a lot of pitches, a lot of off-speed stuff, and gosh, he went out there and just moved the ball around and made us look like fools for about 4 innings. So it was nice to finally get a hit, let alone a run and a win.
Yeah. You guys have not played great at home, played much better on the road. How important is it to get a win here and salvage one out of the series?
Gosh, I mean, we haven't been playing well at home, like you said, and it's nice to finally get a win. But gosh, we need to pick it up here at home and get something rolling, because the Cubs are coming into town, and this is a tough division to play in, and we just gotta, like I said, pick it up and see what we can do.
Reggie hits a big 3-run triple. Looks like you guys are in control there in the 9th. How tough is it to come in after the Phillies coming back in time and really get amped back up for this one?
Well, it's tough, but Izzy's our man, and he goes out there and he puts it all on the line, and he just I don't know if he made a mistake or Ricky hit a great pitch, but Ricky put the ball and play hard, and they came back and tied us up, and it seems like the last 4 or 5 innings just drug on forever. So we're lucky to get a win out of this one.
The at-bats that everybody had against Telemaco looked uncomfortable. Is he just a guy that doesn't allow you to get comfortable up there too often?
Well, he threw a lot of off-speed stuff, and we faced him in the past, and he threw a lot harder, and he moved the ball around, but he had some velocity. And today he seemed like he was just kind of throwing a lot of change-ups, a lot of split fingers, and a lot of cutters and sliders, and not too many fastballs. So we didn't make a very good adjustment on him, but you got to tip your hat. He did a great job.
You made an adjustment right at the right time. Jimmy, thanks for taking the time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, Kyle, thank you. Jim Edmonds with a walk-off home run. You hit a couple of those in your career. What does that feel like?
Oh, it's a tremendous feeling. There's nothing better than hitting it, especially when you know it's gone, and just making that little run around the bases, and to see your teammates waiting for you. You just got to get ready for the abuse that you take once you hit home plate.
In this kind of a game, though, because they lost the lead and went 13 innings, instead of joy and elation, it looked more like relief for the Cardinals that they won.
Oh, no. It's joy. It's joy. Yeah. It's relief, but it's also joy, because You know, when you have a game like this that's going into the 12th, 13th, 14th, it's going to be a home run that's going to end the game. It's not going to be a series of hits because guys are fatigued. Their bat speed is not there now. They're not mentally sharp. So it's going to take one pitch, one home run, as we saw, to end this type of game.
And Edmonds got a mistake pitch, an 0-2 pitch from Telemaco up about right here, chest high, and yanked it out into the bullpen in right field for the home run that wins the game. The final in 13, the Cardinals 5 and the Phillies 4 as the Cardinals avoid the sweep and get back to the 500 mark. We'll come back and wrap it up from St. Louis after this. Jim Edmonds was the batter leading off the bottom of the 13th. Amori Telemaco got ahead 0-2, and then, as you can see, he made a big mistake, and Edmonds launched it into the bullpen in right field for the home run that wins it for the St. Louis Cardinals 5-4 today, as they avoid a sweep in the hands of the Philadelphia Phillies. Coming up next right here on ESPN, PTI, part of the interruption, is on deck. Well, how did we wind and weave our way to this 13-inning ending? Here today, it was 1-0 Cardinals when Jim Thome drilled one over the bullpen in right field, his 14th career home run against St. Louis Cardinals. That made it 2-1 for Philadelphia. In the 8th inning, top of the 8th, the Phillies try to add to their lead. One hopper to Pujols. Runner coming home from third, Marlon Byrd. Look at that big-time collision between Byrd and Mike Matheny, who hangs on for the out. So it's still 2-1 when pinch hitter Reggie Sanders comes up, facing Roberto Hernandez. Bases loaded. First pitch, Sanders drills one to deep right center, clearing the bases. 3-run triple made it 4-2 Cardinals going to the 9th. The Cardinals appear to be in great shape to win this one with their closer Jason Isringhausen on. But it wasn't meant to be, at least for Isringhausen. A pinch hit 2-run homer by Ricky Leday. Larry Boa likes what he sees as the Phillies tie it up in the 9th inning. And then with Julian Tavares on the mound, the Phillies say check out that foreign substance on the cap. Umpires say everything appears to be okay. Tavares takes offense at the end of the inning and goes and argues with Pat Burrell a little bit. And the Cardinals respond. Tony La Russa wants Pat the Bat's bat checked. And Burrell's bat is taken out of the game. And that was the end of that. And then on to the 13th. Amori Telemaco in his 5th inning of relief. He knew it. As soon as it was hit, it was gone. On the back wall of the bullpen, Cardinals win in 13 innings, 5-4 here today. Certainly an entertaining ball game, Mr. Justice. We saw a couple of wild ones between the Phillies and Marlins last week, and I think this one can be held up right alongside those games.
I tell you, if you were a fan today, you saw an exciting game, and you saw some big hits by both teams. I tell you, Carpenter and Millwood both pitched tremendous today. But it was a great game. I mean, obviously greater for St. Louis because they lead with the victory. But, you know, Philadelphia has to look at it as they got 2 out of 3 in the series.
The amazing thing is because the Phillies were the road team, Larry Boa kept holding back Billy Wagner for an inning when they got the lead, kept getting him up in the top half of every inning, but they never got him in because they never took the lead.
Well, you're right about that. I mean, Telemaco did a great job.
Yeah, he did.
But someone had to lose this game, and big hit by Edmonds on I think it was a changeup that was the same pitch that he had swung through the previous pitch, and he didn't miss that one.
So the Cardinals win 5-4 in 13 innings. We're going to step aside. PTI is on the way here on ESPN, and their Stanley Cup playoff action coming up later tonight on our family of networks. First, it's Game 4 between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Montreal Canadiens at 7 Eastern here on ESPN. If the Lightning win, they advance to the conference finals. And then at 10 Eastern over on ESPN2, can the Calgary Flames go up 3-1 on the mighty Red Wings? We'll find out later on tonight over on ESPN2. Again, the final from Busch Stadium in St. Louis here on the lengthy ESPN day game. The Cardinals 5 and the Phillies 4 on the walk-off home run by center fielder Jim Edmonds. That ended it. Coming up next, PTI right here on ESPN. For David Justice, Kyle Peterson, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dan Shulman. Thanks for watching. Cardinals over the Phillies in 13. So long from St. Louis.